gosh. Okay, and you're right, everybody, the start of life will knock you down. A lot will knock you down, but you got to keep getting back up and you got to celebrate.
Oh my gosh.
You know, as well as the ones where you get knocked over and everything in between. Okay, founders? All right, so stay tuned, everyone, for the second annual Andelicious Startup Life Live holiday show. Woo! Are you ready to glow? I hope I am. Yes, I am. Yay! Hello and welcome, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Happy solstice. I'm so happy you're here because we have got to celebrate the good, the bad, the ugly, the wonderful, the rut-rows, and the woohoos. Hey, I'm your host, Andy Lyons, 4 times founder and startup champion to founders around the world. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I love amplifying diverse founder startup stories to help newly minted founders find their way and realize they're not alone while getting the inspiration and all the resources and tips they need to succeed. And I'm so grateful you tuned in. I'm always grateful that you tuned into the show, but especially tonight, December 21st, 2021. Because we're celebrating 2021 and what it taught us. Because founders are resilient and we're tenacious and we're persistent, but we got to hold hands together, okay, while we go through the ups and downs. Or as I'm always saying, 1 minute you're popping the champagne and the next minute you're crying into it. That's the start of life, right? So I can't wait to bring on our amazing guest who's with me for the second year in a row, but I want to share a little bit about her before we get going. And while I'm chatting about the wonderful Mia Voss, I hope you take a moment to like the video wherever you're watching. I'm live right now on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. There's got to be a little jive song for that. And so by hitting that like button, you don't know how this video may go out into the stream where someone else might enjoy what we're doing and need a little celebration themselves, okay? So let me tell you about our amazing goddess that's coming on tonight. It's the one, the only, the fab female founder, Mia Voss. Now, this is a seasoned fab female founder. I'm telling you, every one of these pictures that you're seeing, this is what she does. And she is our dear Mia Voss, a cheerleader for the things she loves and a voice for things that need attention. And Mia's joyful purpose can be seen in multiple ways, right? I mean, she, of course, is a super opinion lifestyle blogger, a mouthy activist, a trusted brand ambassador, a commercial real estate inspector, and one of my favorites, if you watch the show, you know I'm always doing a shout out for this baby right here. She's the host of the popular podcast, Shit We Don't Talk About. So let's get right into celebrating 2021 with this fab female founder. Please join me in the room, Mia Voss.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
I feel like that SNL where they're like, it's a dessert topping, it's a floor wax. Like that's me in my career, you know. What else is she doing?
Clink,
oh,
baby.
Cheers, honey. We did it again this year. Yay,
I
us.
know it. Now, folks, here we are in December 2014.
Look at us.
Look at us. Now, this is the Google Plus days, everybody. Okay. And so we love doing that. And now here last year, December 2020.
Oh my God, I have the same glass too. You do too. We're so predictable.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, when you got a good thing going, you're going to do it. So yes. I want to say just a quick howdy to some of our favorite people. Yeah, there she is, Vicky O'Neill. Yes, let's glow.
Hi,
Merry
Vicky.
Christmas and happy holidays and happy New Year. Woohoo! And first official day of winter too, Vicky. You're absolutely right.
Yes.
And she goes on with the shortest day of the year.
Also true.
But tomorrow it's going to be a happy day. And Heather, we know that you're a little under the weather. It's Heather. So we are so happy you're tuning in and saying hi. And can I just bring up a quick banner because we love Heather. And I was looking back in my 2021 and I said, one of the best things I did for myself was work with Heather.
Me too.
Right here at
yes.
hrhealing.com. She is remarkable.
Mhm.
We recently had this phenomenal woman, Belle, I can't remember her last name, passed, but she was talking about
Bell hooks.
thank you, Bell Hooks.
Mhm.
And she was talking about the hero's journey, right? And that the real hero's journey is to love,
Mm.
right? I mean, Joseph Campbell talks about the fierce and the fight and all of that, but hers was, no, the real hero's journey is to love. And I was like, oh my gosh, but I'm going to tell you right there, folks, that's our Heather. All right. So
She embodies it, doesn't she?
totally.
Yes.
And another favorite goddess who was really helping us with our solstice rituals this week. Hi, Deborah. How
Deborah
are you?
Trapen, my lady. Look at that. All my
Trapen,
ladies are
thank
here.
you. Deborah
Yeah, and
Trapen.
Trace May had to ask last week. Girlfriend was very gracious about that one. So yeah, all of our goddesses are here. Yay!
I know. Yay. Well, I had to say it. And then from Ottawa, our wonderful, phenomenal, and neurodiverse celebratory Brent Manuel. Thank you for your wonderful holiday wishes.
Oh, yes.
And the man who keeps our websites happening, Drewlicious, Drew Linsalata, one of my favorite people ever.
Me too. Also known as Barbara Drew in my world after a fun character on SNL. Again, he's got all the funny things. So.
Oh my gosh, I feel so taken care of. Thank you for that introduction. I actually have an altar for Mia in my home because she introduced me to some key people in 2021 that have really enhanced my game, up my game, etc.
2 of them are watching right now. So
that's right. I mean, you are the gift that keeps on giving, Mia. Mia, I want to let everybody know about our giveaway tonight before we get any further. I am giving away a copy of It's About Damn Time. Every book a founder must have. Arlan Hamilton. What you need to do is put hashtag startup life in the comments. And towards the end of the show, I'll do the handy dandy giveaway wheel and it'll have everybody's name go boom and winner. So be sure to put startup life startup life. Okay, everybody, just hashtag startup life in the comment section.
Yes.
Folks, this is why I don't drink and stream. I mean, my gosh.
Yeah. You see me over here with my hand on the mouse because I'm used to running the show. I need to sit back and show myself out here and let you do all your fabulousness.
Hey, Kelly, happy holidays.
Kelly, she's been on my show too.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I heard that episode. Mm-hmm. So good. So good. So Mia, I have noticed that you have been out, and as they say in Canada, out in a boot, really celebrating the holidays. I mean, really soaking it in. I really have to say that one, the Christmas lights one that you went to, the parasol stroll, the wonderful new restaurant that our dear Heather helped launch. Mm-hmm. I mean, and snuggle, seeing friends that are so meaningful to you right now. Yes, everyone, you should follow Mia at all her social handles because she shares so many good, especially IG stories, just saying.
Stuff I love, right?
Yeah. So what prompted you to sort of get out there and really enjoy and explore and soak in the holiday cheer?
Well, I will start with the fact that I'm shutting that down now because this weekend, and even I was actually chatting with Drew about it too. We know what's going on in the world, that we've got some variants and pretty serious. So I feel good that I kind of got in that window of time of getting out there, but I chose really wisely. And it's funny, you may relate to this as well, but being an ambivert, so an outgoing introvert, a gregarious loner, I look like I'm out there doing the thing all the time, but I have these big bursts of quick energy. And then I'll have the 12 to 15 days almost at home just to kind of make up for how much energy it takes me to get out there. So I have done a lot in the last week and I'm so grateful that I did because now I am really shutting it down. So there's just too many good things out there. So I choose wisely. But boy, did I choose good with Camp Christmas. So that was just amazing. A local artist that just zhuzhed up this whole field with all these historical buildings. And then he's just incredible. And that was with my BFF. And then going to Heather's restaurant, and Heather's doing cool things. She's changing things up. And and she's involved with this restaurant group here in Denver. Heather, if you'll post the name in there, if she's still here, but I've known these restaurateurs for about 10 years, and for her to be combined with them is just, as you say, delicious for me.
Awesome.
Do you know what I mean?
Awesome. Totally know what you mean. Completely.
I get so excited.
I get a wave. Hello, No Fall.
Hi.
Thank you for swinging by.
Yes.
I prompted you. I know, but still, it wouldn't be right to have a holiday celebration without being able to say, cheers, my dear friend down the highway from you. No Fall is an amazing. Oh, geez, I'm spilling all over the place over there.
See, now let me just clarify to everybody. I am drinking wine. Girlfriend is not, so I could be super loopy. I think I drank that whole bottle of Prosecco last year.
Wow! But I want everybody, if you can, go to LinkedIn and connect with No Fall, because he's an amazing mentor. He's an amazing champion of founders and really knows his stuff. So, and one of my favorite people
No Fall,
out there.
post your link so I can go follow you when I go back.
Okay. And here it is. Thank you, Heather. A5 Denver and the Culinary Creative Group.
Yes. And that A5 is so cool because they took another historic little corner in downtown Denver that has gone through a couple iterations. And now it's this A5 Denver that's just delightful. So
good.
Yes.
I would sit at that bar and eat and drink. No problem.
Oh, gosh.
So before we dive into some of the things we want to talk about and celebrate, and folks, be sure to pop in what you're celebrating. Brent got right on top of that by celebrating one of his favorite interviews when we had Justin Ayers. Oh my God, Ari Ayers, I thought it was, on the show. He's doing phenomenal things for mental health. It's an incredible online platform. So I'm so glad. And I really enjoyed your interview with Justin as well. Brent does these wonderful Twitter Spaces, which is a good way to have a nice audio connection. Yeah. And our pleasure, darling.
Yes. Heather. Yes. She knows what we do. Love to do is talk about the things we love.
Yes. And the things that we think need changing.
Oh, yeah. That's where the mouthy part comes in.
And the opinionated.
Yes.
But before we dive in, what are you feeling really grateful for? Like right now, right this moment, you're looking and feeling, you go, you know what? I'm going to focus some energy toward that good vibe. What's really floating your boat right now?
Yeah. It's been really lovely for me is that my mom and I have really been going through some spiritual learning together. And now a lot of that, to get super woo, was in part of doing work with Heather to loop that back around again, because we really did a lot of spiritual diving and some healing things. And so, I made some big changes in my life in the last couple of months, and my mom's just been super instrumental for both of us. And it's great because she's 80, almost 81. I'm 56, almost 57. And we're these two biddies going through these.
You're not a biddy.
I love saying it. I also love crone. So people don't like crone, but I adore the phrase crone. But I do love that we are both going through some really good spiritual awakenings and peeling off some layers and onions and letting go of the things that don't serve us.
Yes.
One of my favorites. And so I'm really grateful for that.
Excellent, for cutting the cords. I'm really grateful. I know this sounds so corny as Kansas in August, but it's right up there with, I'm so happy to have a roof over my head, a hot shower, food in my belly, and, someone to hug and hold on to. Those, if you've ever been without in life, and I've been without in life, you have a deep, deep appreciation for some of the simple things in life. So I'm feeling really grateful for that. And, I noticed when I was asking this question over the last couple of months, Mia, most of my guests were just saying they were thankful that they were healthy and their family was healthy. And this are people from all parts of the world, from Singapore to Africa to the States, all came down to, I'm glad I'm healthy. Yeah. And so, because, we saw some scary, and we are going to continue to see some scary times. So folks, If you're not vaxxed, get vaxxed. It's
And
worth it.
boosted and boosted. Yeah. I just got my flu shot today. I'm so 5G. I got my shingles shot a couple weeks ago. I got my booster. Can you
Honest
hear
to
me
goodness.
now?
If anybody's ever had shingles, you definitely don't want that.
So,
Yay,
so yeah,
Deborah.
yes, Deborah, amen. She's such a
Amen to
cheerleader too.
that.
And I'm going to join you on that. That is just especially hearing after the tornadoes last week.
Oh,
We have a lot of things
exactly.
going on. There's an island in the Philippines that's been decimated. So just, and it's not about, oh, better you than me. It's I'm
Or
going to be really grateful now because then I'm going to continue to do what I can do to put that
exactly.
out into the world.
So the beauty of the solstice, everybody, is a
Mm,
time to recenter. It's a time to reflect, and it's a time to reconnect
mm,
with your goals, your aspirations, and also, to let go, as Mia had said earlier, of things that do not serve you. And boy, especially in the startup life, we learn very quickly what works and what doesn't work. And sometimes
yes.
we might hold on to things a little too tightly that don't work. But that can also be team members, co-founders, it can be investors, it can be all aspects of your startup life as well
Yes.
as your personal life. And it's okay to cut the cords, with integrity and all. But it's important that we say, okay, that doesn't work. I'm so glad I tried that out, or I'm so glad I saw that, because what that does is it helps you shift into what does work. And then you can put
Yes.
more focus, if you don't know what that is yet, into uncovering it. So,
Hmm.
so Mia, as you're looking back at the last 12 months, what experiences have pushed you outside your comfort zone and stretch you further, both as a founder and as a human? Because
Sure.
you are an explorer and you are such a curious person, and you
I
do
love
not
that word.
settle.
Yeah.
And folks, you just can't settle in life. Everything can point to settling, and I'm just begging you, do
Yeah.
not get through what you have to do, get the support you need. So go ahead and share what has been stretching
Yeah.
you out of your comfort zone, goddess.
Every it's
What
more like what
hasn't?
hasn't been. Yeah, that's the shorter list right there. And again, I say that with, knowing that everyone I mean, if anything I've been taught in the last couple of weeks, especially because I've seen a lot of my friends go through losing some pretty important people in their lives permanently. And so it's just been very eye-opening to support them and then also kind of take a look at your things. But I wanted to mention when you were saying that about with solstice, the piece that I love too is when you are letting go of these things. If you can also get that sweet spot in there of saying, okay, yes, I've been repeating this. Yes, I've done this over and over again. I'm finally going to transition out, and then just make that jump quickly so that you're not sitting in condemnation almost of how long it
Yes.
took you to get to that. And that is such a non-celebrated, in some ways non-sexy, it feels like, thing to just be like, all right, I'm gonna pivot into this new change without beating myself up too much, but just saying, okay, all right, I did do that, now I'm doing this. And I think females especially, and I'm maybe stereotyping a little bit, but it's there for a reason. We do tend to really have this hard on ourselves because and not this easy, like, whoops, mess that up, let me go over here. And I love that
So
if we could
true.
get more to that. I don't, what's the phrase? Lord, give me the confidence today of a fail forward white guy. Sorry to all my friends out there that if it's you, then but do you know what I mean? Of just being like, mess that
Hey,
up.
that didn't work. Let's go on
Anywho,
next. And that
oh,
comes from, and my friend
beautiful.
Mimi used to always talk about this. Oh my gosh, because look at football. All right. Everything is based on time.
Yeah.
Terrible play happens. They slap each other in the butt, get back to work,
Good
line up,
analogy. I like it.
and so it's like that's the kind of confidence you have to have in pursuing your dreams. And the thing, and one of the beautiful things, of course, I turn to it for my children, which is I use my Angela quote. Oh, well, once you know better, you do better. I didn't know better then. I know better now. I will do better.
Yeah. And
And
it's a call to action and a call to to really pay attention. It's like, because it's like, okay, you're right. You can't say it that much though, right? You can use it for different circumstances, but it's now you know better. Now you have to keep doing better. It may fall back a little bit, but you're
Yeah.
still on that path to doing better. And I think it's at that point of not starting all over again in some senses, but like I made progress. That one's really tough. I feel like that was a challenge for me this year of feeling,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Oh
Because
my God,
I
'cause
do have to look back and
there's, I mean, we see that. I mean, I see people who I have shoes older than they are, and they are wildly successful. And it took them
yes.
like using their baby finger, and they were like, boom. I'm not
Yeah.
saying they didn't work hard, and you thought, and it's hard not to think, wow, it's taken me 40 years to get where it took them 3.
Ooh, sis, that is very true, and I think my mom might have said it the other day too. That whole list of people that, oh my gosh, if you think you haven't accomplished anything, and it's like that ginormous list of, Tina Fey was working in a library until she was whatever age, and there's just this really long list of folks that were not hitting their stride or their sweet spot. And I will say one of the best things, and I know it's been around for a while, but I was putting a talk together a couple years ago, and it was learning about the third act. And it was because Jane Fonda had done this really great little mini TED talk or something and talking about that. And it just struck me. And I loved that. And it just was so great, instead of saying, oh my gosh, I've started over so many times, and women my age, or our age especially, I think, feel a lot of demonization for like, oh my God, can't you pick a lane? No, I'm in this lane right now. That's where I'm at. And I think that, being okay with it being third, fourth, fifth act. I mean, quite frankly, I think I'm like on my, I don't
Oh,
know, sixth
and the thing
and
is
three at the same time.
part of the hashtag women empowering women is to stop the glorification of these milestone, you know,
Ooh, yeah.
comparisons and the
Yes.
glorification of being busy.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, and I should have done this by now.
Sure. Sure. I think
Who
it's
said, where was that? Where was that
oh,
written down? I missed
according
that.
to who?
Was that a memo that was sent out?
Yeah.
It's so hard. Vicky is saying she got her shingle shot.
Yay,
Yay!
Vicky. No, boy, I'll tell you, when I went and
That's a
got
tough one.
my booster, the young gal, and I think I do have shoes older than her too, at Walgreens, she said, I can't even get it yet, but she said, if you do anything this year, go get. We
Yeah, I
sound so
had shingles
lucky there.
on the brain nerve.
Mama,
Yeah,
you do
so
it right.
anyway.
You do it
Yeah,
100%.
oh boy, that was great. Hey, Drew. I think my husband's right there with you. Wait, what?
Yeah, totally. All my friends are like, here she goes again with that. But
But
it's a good comparison.
it is true. And
Oh, that's good.
Deborah, giving
Good.
ourselves grace through transitions is key during a freaking
Sis.
plague. Come on, people.
I mean, double extra helping of the grace and the latitude for
Total
yourself.
grace.
Yeah.
And yeah, for you parents who haven't like just put your kids in front of a TV and turned on captions and said, that's enough. They're reading. I'm good.
I don't have kids.
Be very, very difficult.
Mm.
And Vicky, yes, 2021 has been a
Ooh,
major life pivot for you, letting go of what definitely doesn't serve you.
yeah.
Big
That is good.
congratulations on that, Vicky
And
O'Neill.
that's that onion peel too, Vicky, of it's not just one big snake shed, you know what I mean? Where it's like,
Right.
and I'm done, which would be fabulous, by the way, because then it would be a whole new you there.
I
But
have,
it's
yeah.
incremental, and it also can be, and that's been the hardest thing I think with starting therapy again, and then again doing a lot of this deep dive shadow work, which I know we're going to talk about that too. And that's Deborah, one of Deborah's favorites, and Heather too.
Love
But when you're,
shadow work.
yes, when you're doing that work, it's just so messy, and it feels really uncomfortable. And again, with the unsexy, but I think as long as you're willing to go, okay, that's just another layer instead of, and
Mhm.
I struggle with that one. I'm very, very judgy to
Oh,
myself.
oh my gosh, of course. The critical, I mean, it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
From what someone's wearing. Oh, that doesn't work. I have to say on a sidebar, I go on walks with darling Chet, and he's got the, because he's that Virgo with the Capricorn rising, if you're into astrology. He'll go,
Right.
oh, that trim just doesn't work on that house. And I'm like,
Is
what?
he judgy? I
Are you
love it.
the Architectural Digest? I thought it'd be fun to do a TikTok of some random dude criticizing people's homes. But
I
we
think
do.
Chet criticizing homes would be a hit, by the way. Do you think how I just bellied up to the bar here?
Okay, so everybody, there's going up
Yeah.
here.
Hold on. Here don't mind me. Me and my pandemic. I've got 5 more of these just in case the supply chain goes awry. You do not want me without wine.
But you've got to protect yourself. I want to remind everybody we're giving away a copy of
Yes.
Arlan Hamilton's "It's About Damn Time." Okay, tonight. So put hashtag Startup Life in the comment section, and I'll run that little giveaway.
Yes.
Ding.
And can I just pitch Arlan Hamilton? Go follow her on Twitter. She's very, very active on Twitter. And
Yes,
even
she
if you
is.
want to just
NIG.
ping her in that we're talking about her, because Andy and I have a thing for
we love her. Well, I was honored to be part of her book launch team in May of 2020. There you
can't see me
go.
doing my hand hold up, but this is how I feel. It's so juicy and delicious.
So
and I'm jelly in a good way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So let me tell you about this phenomenal woman, Jessica Sannon, and her incredible company, Systemic Flow. She is teaching STEM in elementary school.
Ooh.
Especially to our girls, especially to our diverse classrooms, to get them going, opening up their mind, because it's like a language in the math and the technology and engineering and art, all very important in learning. So everybody go check out Systemic Flow. Jessica was on the show earlier this year. Phenomenal woman here in the Boston area doing remarkable things. And yeah, Deborah, that TED Talk with Jane Fonda, third act. And also Akeem Nowak is having a wonderful podcast out called The Fourth Act.
Yes, I have heard that.
And he's doing wonderful things too. It's so great. And Vicky's like, I'm on my 9th act.
Me too, sis.
Oh my gosh. But the thing is, for me, a lot of times I had to wait for technology to catch up. And it is a unique journey. And Deborah, again, falling in love with the joy of being uncomfortable has taken you a long time. I understand that, Deborah.
I think Deborah said, and it was a private conversation, but I think you'll enjoy it. Deborah, you want we were talking about getting uncomfortable, even with words that make you uncomfortable. And we had a laundry list of it. And it was very fun. And I thought that was, if I haven't told you that, Deborah, I thought that was a very unique way to dip your toe into that.
Yes.
And I think there are varying degrees. I know I was listening to Lewis Howes the other day, not always a huge fan of him, but I like some of the stuff that he puts out there. That's me being opinionated. But he did have a really good, it was a YouTube video, and it was this kind of whole list of things that you can do, and that's really helping with your journey. And one of them was this thing about that, what's his name? It's where you take the cold shower, where you do that quick cold shower. And I was like, hell no.
The
like
bucket,
in the other room.
bucket thing where they put over your head?
No, it's just more that you do these variations of either like 20 seconds of the cold shower. And there's this whole like guru guy that does that thing too. I've heard
like
of it
the fire
before.
walk and stuff.
Yes. And I listened to it again, and then I was a little more open to it, but the visceral reaction for me of like, no, like I want my warm shower. But then he described kind of what it does for you or whatever. So I thought that was interesting. That was the first thing of doing that. Oh, thanks, Vicky, honey.
Vicky's saying you were my hero.
She's such a rock star, man. I got to meet her at Jessica. Oh my God.
You got to hug in real life. You got to hurl.
I did get it. I got a in real life hug in Lima, Ohio. What's Jessica's last name?
I think
Phillips.
I know. Yeah,
Jessica Phillips. Yes,
there
she has
you go.
one of the only social media conferences that I will ever go to again, because she does it right. She does it for the audience, not for the speakers. And that's my comment.
Hello. We needed
Wine's
that.
And I see the words, Deborah. That's right. Don't pull up that comment, but it's really good.
Girl words. woman goddess words that are like,
They're so powerful. They're so powerful. And actually I love what's his name? Oh, he's a comedian, Ricky Gervais.
yes,
He's very, very adept with those words.
he sure is. And Jessica loves your t-shirt, by the way.
Thank you, honey. I've had this around for a while and I just thought I'd pull it out.
Yay. So I'm just going to add this to the stream, folks. This is Mia's website. I just want to do a plug. Go visit. You can check out the podcast, her lifestyle, her travel, her favorites about, and most importantly, up there at the top, you're going to see how you can connect with Mia, and it's Mia Voss Live. Okay,
yes.
MiaVoss.live.
Yes, Drew built that for me. And following me on Insta right now and Twitter are where I'm the most active. I haven't done as much. That's what the next 2 weeks are for sure. But I really have fun on Twitter and Instagram.
Talk about Friday nights. I mean, for me, Friday night, Denver time, because folks, this is where Mia's hanging, is in Denver.
Yes.
You usually start at like 6 o'clock and you do something so wonderful. And I might be like comatose somewhere at that hour on a Friday night.
Once in a while you'll pop in and it's always delightful. And it's when I have my darling Frenchie, she's with me on the show. And that is a really fun stream of consciousness thing but you think about it, Andy, I was doing something on Friday for almost 9 or 10 years now.
Yes.
From the days.
And you get there and you have no idea if anybody's going to be there. And you just start saying hi and you start going on about thoughts in your head. I mean, you are ideal for that type of broadcast. Absolutely ideal. Because you're talking to a room full of ghosts and having a really meaningful, good time.
But you can pick it just like you do. You pick up on the energy as well when you're on there, and you can tell what's hitting for people. And I do the cards, the Rage Create, sweet Esther. I love these. They're like little encouragement cards, but they're the anti.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Bring in the big screen. Oh, sweet ass affirmations.
Yes.
For your what does it say? Motivation?
Creative maniac mind.
Love that.
These guys, Deborah, she shows up and really lights my fire for sure. Deborah does. But these folks, I'm just going to show you one just because I did this one the other day. And look at this artwork. I smile because I'm in love. I smile because I am love. And then on the back of it is just this, delightful little talking about Jupiter's moons in this one, which I love. And it's a little saucy too. This is a company called Rage Create. And these are all so from the heart. That gentleman's name is Heath. And then I think they did a GoFundMe to get this going. So I should get you in touch with them too
that would be awesome.
Fun founders.
And speaking of cards and exercises to help us, and folks, I would say out of the 125, I think this is my 125th episode since April 2020.
Gosh.
I always ask my founders, what have you done to shift your mindset, or what really important founder advice can you give? And I'd say almost hands down, everybody says, find a founder peer group. And that is so important. Ooh. So, it's because nobody else really understands what you're going through.
Yeah.
And to have also the type of support, like someone who is your cheerleader, who believes in you as your champion and coach. Everyone talks about how important it is to have someone who is helping you up your game, being self-motivated and self-driven day after day, year after year, without someone showing you where you've been, where you're going, where you are right now, and the data around that. Sometimes it feels like we're spinning in place.
That's the video you had in the beginning. God. If you missed the beginning, wait till the replay and I love somebody's parents in the background laughing,
howling. But here's something I'd love to invite everybody to do, because 2021, you absolutely have to reflect. You have to look back and just do a recap and use it. And it won't take you that long. You can go right through your calendar. You can, if you have some journaling, some thoughts, that you've written down somewhere, look at those and go through your calendar. Note the things that brought you the most joy and those things that brought you the most aggravation that you have control over.
Yeah, good point. Thank you. Because I was like,
and based on the joy list and the aggravation list, write down the do more of that and less of that.
Mhm.
And then, and just take a moment to riff off your goals for next year and writing down the process, maybe burning them up. I sent Mia this wonderful packet of flying wishes. Let me just pull these babies out. This
Look at
is
this.
so much fun. Oh, let me bring that up. Yes.
Oh, yes.
And you write it
Gorgeous.
down and you put them around this beautiful paper around your finger, and then you light it on fire and it goes right up into the sky. It's really cool.
Think about it. This is my whole next week, hon.
There we
Seriously.
go.
I'm so
Unboxing.
excited.
Unboxing.
Yes.
There you go. Perfect.
Love it has the little specific little pencil with it and the whole thing.
And it's just something ritualistic about that. But I have to tell you, it's a wonderful process for releasing and letting things go. So I really want to invite founders for you to, I know you got so much on your plate. Oh, look at, there's the paper it goes on.
Yes.
That's what you write on.
Yes.
So good.
Oh, nice. Oh, good. And I love that I think we talked about this a couple months ago when we planned today, that this day, especially the solstice days for me are so powerful. Now I'm an equinox baby. I was born one day from the vernal equinox, the spring equinox. So I love the balance on any of these days where there's just this delightful balance. And I did a post today, and then I posted a picture that I believe the astronauts had taken from the space, or from their ship or whatever they called it, back in 1968 or 69. And it's just this delightful picture they had taken on the solstice. And this just gorgeous balance of this dark and light. Gave me a little spiritual Woody. Because there's something so delightful. And I know it feels tough with it being less light, these shortest days. But
yes.
You said it in the beginning too, that like literally starting tomorrow, we are incrementally shifting very tiny, right back up to June 21st, which is going to be the longest day. And just that balance. And I've really been enjoying that phrase, Hygge. Do you know that one?
What? No.
Hygge. Deborah knows about it. It looks like Hygge, but it's Hygge, and it's this Scandinavian phrase for just delighting in taking it easy and comfort. And the visuals they always have are like fuzzy socks and a fireplace in the background. Right. And I think it goes so well with things like this and reflection as well.
Well, and folks may remember when we had Jessica Kim on this show. She's the co-founder of Iona Care, and it was while she was caring, and she had already been a 2 times founder, and it was while she was caring for her mother, who took 7 years to die from pancreatic cancer, that she felt so isolated and so alone. And she said, this is wrong, because when you become a home caregiver, you haven't been trained for it. You don't know if it's going to be for 9 days, 9 weeks, 9 months, or 9 years.
Yes.
And you can't begin to know how to ask for help. And so she set up a beautiful platform with her co-founder, Steve, to help when you are put into that, all of a sudden, I'm a caregiver, what do I do? Then you can have people go up and say, okay, here's when I could use meals. And people can come on and help. And she's a very faith-based, very love-based founder. And it was just so great. And the most important thing, again, is that we have to take care of ourselves. And I think, coming back to what you're talking about, this time of year, we can get frantically caught up in the shouldas. And women, we've been conditioned, those Christmas cookies, holiday cookies, all the things we've been conditioned to do.
Sure.
The Lyons Den, because the boys got older, we let go of that side of Christmas 6 years ago. And it's been so freeing. And frankly, all of our sons' friends envy them, because they don't have to be running around getting landfill editions. Did I say that?
Oh, no. And you're right. And I just had the conversation with a friend of mine, and I kind of was like, I said, I don't mean to be me, but do you hear yourself? I said, because he said, I have to buy. And I was definitely like, ooh, go with God on that one, because I have so set it up with my family. In fact, I had a gift for my parents, and I went to the post office yesterday, which I knew was late. And somebody came in behind me, no mask on, 2 feet. And I was like, I said, left. And I called my mom or my stepmom and said, yeah, that's going to show up after Christmas.
Yeah, it'll be okay. It's
But
not there on the day.
yes, but you know what it was? I went and bought something very specific from a local friend who had all these beautiful art pieces. So don't watch Mom and Ann. And so I bought something local. But what my friend was saying though is that he has this extended Italian family and that he's going to go to this thing and buy all this stuff. And I was like, dude, don't do the landfill thing because they get him dumb landfill stuff too. And it's just, the consumerism.
It's a tough one.
I
You
know
can
we're
tell me,
going
and
off
I
on a
feel
tangent, but
really, really strongly about that too. So in reflection, again, over the last 12 months, the
yes.
things that have really lit you up and made your heart sing with joy, what's one or two or three if you have?
Ooh, getting back out and seeing my family again. Clearly, I have this theme going on. And quite frankly, moving into my own space that I had really wanted to be in for a while and bringing out some treasured items has been just delightful. I have an office. So I've really been delighting in I don't want to say mundane, but, sitting and sipping coffee in this one little spot. Just things like that, and then getting out and being able to see people, which by the way, so this is my moon water excuse me, from the other day. I had a bunch of moon water. I know Deborah got a lot too because Saturday was the cold moon. It was called the last full moon of 2021. So that's another thing I've really been delighting in our like you said, rituals. Lots of rituals, lots of cleansing, lots of sitting and reflecting.
And it's so important for folks because that you launched your business because you were very passionate about a problem you wanted to solve. And as much as your solution, I'm sure, is outstanding, you have to fall in love with the problem. Yes. And when you fall in love with the problem, you have a better understanding of the whole, how do I, I'm living in my joyful purpose, but how now do I get through what all of that entails, which is what we started off the show with, getting slammed again and again and navigating the roller coaster ride and the high levels of uncertainty. I know. And so it's not easy. And that's why this reflection is so important, and not to, go too forensic on it, but in looking back again over what you'd like less of, perhaps over the last year, that you have control over. I mean, we will talk about things we don't have control over other than taking action steps, of course. But, I love
those patterns are so crucial. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Deborah's, you go ahead and read this, Mia.
Oh, yes. Because I love that. Turning everyday tasks into rituals is a wonderful gift to give yourself. Amen. And let me plug Drew's book real quick. So Drew is my podcast producer. Speaking of doing all the things, and he's a dessert topping and a floor wax. That's Drew because he has, why did I just forget? Helix Interactive.
Yep.
So they built my website, but then they also produced my podcast. But then Drew also hosts his own podcast in a whole group. It's called The Anxious Truth. So he has 2 books, and then he just put another book out this year. And I felt very seen, and I kept calling him while I was reading, like, I'm very annoyed with you right now. Just call me Shimmer. He says that's what it's called.
Hey, Drew, put the URL for Helix into the comments and I'll pop it up. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
for Helix. And then this third book, I don't know if that's your
and
third.
For the Anxious Truth, please, Delicious, Drew.
Yes. And so this book is called 7% Slower. And now, of course, Drew works with a lot of folks with anxiety and PTSD, depression, a lot of that. And so the thing that he had put together are these very simple ideas for different pieces in your life that you can go 7% slower. And that encompassed everything from, which ones did I feel so seen about? One was eating. That annoyed me because I just, just get so caught up in things. And then when you just consciously think about just slowing down just a tiny bit. And I really think that goes in line with what Deborah just said too.
Yes.
I think that can go in with making that. Yeah,
absolutely. So the anxioustruth.com for listeners and viewers later, and helix-interactive.com. Drew did my website, made it super, super easy for me to amplify diverse founder voices, both visually with the video as well as the podcast. So you can listen to it so easily right on my website or on your favorite podcast locations. Well, since I'm talking about that, let me just pull this up. You don't always have to view, you can always tune in via iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, or my website. But, Drew has made it so easy for us and for you to put out an amazing, amazing podcast. And let me just throw that up again too, because what I love about what you're doing with gotta get rid of the banner there. The Shit We Don't Talk About podcast, everybody, miavoss.live/podcast, is that you go there on topics that, gosh, you might have that conversation in your head, but a lot of times you don't get the details. It's incredible. You had someone living with MS on your show.
I
Boy, did we
did.
learn a lot from her. Someone with
Yes.
incarceration.
Yes, Amber Crowder, and oh my gosh, I just forgot my gal that had the MS story. That was very practical in the sense too of talking about which I love, the lived experience, and so was Amber's experience too of being just targeted by the feds. It's terrifying.
This was like, you say what? And
Yeah,
made you
that
want to
was
go right
terrifying.
down and start bitch slapping people into
Oh
the
my
next
goodness,
county. It was so bad. And then the other one that I also really loved was the woman who at the age of 40 realized that she was on the spectrum, like seriously as
Oh,
close to being
yes.
hospitalized, institutionalized
Yes,
as you could
Elizabeth.
be on the
Yes,
spectrum, and how
yes.
she had been masking it her
Mhm.
entire life. And a lot of times there is absolutely no medication for autism, Asperger's, spectrum challenges. The
Yes.
best therapy, I think, is having people understand neurodiversity, right, Mia?
Yes. Yes. So not even medication, but in addition, yes, diagnoses.
Right.
That's the toughest thing. And I do see a theme for a lot of folks. My friend Chrissy was on talking about OCD. She's really amazing. And you see a theme with these people that are talking. Amber did the same thing. Chrissy did that. Drew did that with the anxious truth of they take that lived experience and they put that out there so it's something that other people can use. And that to me, that just makes my heart sing to focus on people like that. Drew was
Absolutely.
my first guest actually talking about his experience.
That's so powerful. All your guests are amazing. Everybody, go hop on there. I love that I was talking about insomnia. Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Some of us have that as a form of our PTSD right here. But
Yes.
I would love it if you had somebody who could talk about psilocybin and this wonderful book out called Change Your Mind that's out there. I mean, the
Read
groundwork
my
is
mind, sis. It's coming up. I
yes.
have 2. I have 2, and I've really taken a break with the changes in my life, the last couple months, so I'm really revving it back
It's
up because I'm
percolating.
I'm it is. I am so low grade fascinated, one of my favorite phrases to say, with microdosing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Folks, if you can read the book, Change Your Mind.
Mhm. Gotta write that one down.
So well written. Um, and if it's your first time, see, I'm a boomer. I'm from the sex, drugs, and rock and roll age. So, of
Right.
course, I'm really comfortable with psychedelics. But they have these incredible retreats now in the Caribbean. So they take you on a guided tour of
Sure.
psilocybin. But there's just so much going on. And it's so important. It's one of the first ways people have been able to crack through, as Carrie Fisher used to talk about, the cement of her brain with
Mm.
depression. It's been
Yeah,
amazing, but also for the
yeah.
post trauma and other things. And it just brings you closer to the divine. And I was just talking to
Plant-based,
a doctor recently, and he says he wants to do it to lower his ego. How about that? He wanted to dissolve his ego more because
Wow.
when you're
That
doing
guy doing the shadow work.
all right. First of all, I just want to say, I said to him, look, he's a surgeon and he's a plastic surgeon actually, but he understood and knew that about himself. Oh, lost an earring. That's okay. That happens. Can't
It's a
find
thing.
that.
It's gonna be
It's
a
a
fashion
thing.
thing.
The one earring show. So Mia, looking back though on the year, what are some of the things that you're just going and cutting the cord?
Oh, let's see. It's definitely any type of I've had to suss out some relationships that several business wise and sometimes even on a personal level, that friendship can be attached to obviously that business as well. So the most important thing, and I've talked about this a lot on my podcast and had to have been reminded it for myself of walking the talk, is about being a trusted person, being a trusted source for information. So if you're just sort of haphazardly getting yourself connected to or attached to people, or they attach themselves to you just by osmosis of saying, oh, I know you. And you see this so much in the social landscape out there too, of, oh my God, look at anybody who ever had a picture taken with Ghislaine Maxwell, because that's what I call her. I'm never going to say her name right. I put some spin on that. But think about that of like, or with Jeffrey Epstein, like, even having these photographs out when you don't really question somebody who makes a lot of money, or you just don't question what someone seems to be.
Discernment, people.
Discernment. And I really do think that in addition to using discernment on these relationships, it's also then doing a lot of the spirit work of getting grounded, however you look at that right now. That could be reading books, that could be prayer, they could be walks, or just taking some quiet time. But I think the more grounded you are, the more discernment you'll have to be able to cut those cords quicker. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah. I always have to ask for help in that because I tend to see, quote, the light under the lampshade a little too much. So I ask for extra help in making sure. Our youngest has always had the best discernment I've ever seen in my life. Only good people. I never had that.
Yeah.
But that is such a good point. And folks, it's okay to let go. I know you see the memes. It sounds, almost cliche, but you have to surround yourself in your inner circle with people who are really with you, and you need to practice that discernment. They may be a ton of fun, but
and the flip side of that too, that's the not as you don't see the cutesy little memes and gifts on it, is there is pain to that.
Yes.
There is, I saw something the other day that said, there is still grief and pain in letting go of a toxic person, that society and sometimes movies makes it look like, oh, well, F that guy. And as I was saying to Drew, F them kids. And then it's just like you sail off and there's still grief involved of, the loss of whatever it is why you had them, that situation, person, business, anything in your life. There's a little bit of an empty spot, but I also love the beauty of that, of clearing out things, because if you have too much clutter, too many people that are taking up your time, too much stuff in your closet, anything like that, you're really not leaving room open, because your mind can't even think in more of an abundant manner of, I want to bring in more of that. I want to bring in more of that relationship that's working. That's super fun to think about the A-list that you want to bring in, the board of directors that I talk about a lot.
That's right. And remember, as we said earlier, as you know better, you do better. So and you get better. I agree, Kelly. Mia nailed it. She has a way of articulating what we're all thinking, and we're all like, hashtag what she said. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Woo. But the one thing I've noticed, the one thing that I am stepping up on, and I'm really not sure, Mia, how I'm going to address this. And I'm totally open to anybody who's tuning in. You want to raise your hand, you want to participate. Let's figure this out.
This. Here we go.
But it's the bro culture. And so I asked one of my guests who's had a tech business, a Black CEO and co-founder of a health tech, and a well-known health tech. I mean, it's they brought his team in for fixing Obama's healthcare.gov. So I asked him, how can you, as a man and a Black man, as a leader, help with the bro culture? Because sometimes I really don't think it's a color or it's more of a gender challenge.
It's a testicle thing.
And the reason I really saw it crop up was because of Clubhouse. It was all built on bro culture. And what I mean by bro culture, folks, is there's a lot of misogyny in the dude conversation and the bro conversation that these men just are not aware. And so what Everett shared with us, a little bit of an insight, which is really hard for the female tech in his company teams, because they would come in and the bro stuff was happening and flying, and they would be like, can I not have a cubicle? Can I have my own office, please? And
Right.
so and so what I see in the startup industry especially is that they don't even know. Like I don't even, and
That's
it's not in our men who are over 50. It's really in a younger generation of men who have taken on this language that is filled with
sure.
misogyny, and they don't even know it.
That is the toughest part right there, and I just had to have a pretty tough conversation with some folks that I'm considering doing some business with.
Well, you're in the construction industry.
And then there's the last 20 years of that whole thing. Let's see what Drew's got to say. Let's pull up Drew's comment.
Okay, we'll fill up Drew.
Speaking of bro, what's up, bro?
Go ahead and read that, Mia.
Bro culture is a real thing. Idealization of stereotypical male traits is as indicative of automatic leadership prowess. Dude, you nailed what's happening, and that's really true. And I mean, that's what makes it even harder. And this is the conversation I had with the two people last night, because we got into a conversation of oh my God, everything I say. And I said, let me just give you kudos as two men that are heart-centered, that you are going to be a target right now for during this change. So I know you're tired, but you're not as tired as everybody else who doesn't look like you. I said,
Right.
so please, just be aware of that. But I think the toughest part to get through with that lack of even awareness is that they don't, unless it affects them, then it's not actually even happening. And they see the ease of everything as a natural thing, as opposed to, no, that is naturally, it is fail forward easy for you in so many things. It doesn't mean your life hasn't been difficult, but please know that there is a this way for you invisible thing. Remember those commercials about Bob, this way for Bob, that's like that. And it's so helping them become aware of that is the first step. And that is acknowledging someone else's lived experience, not because you only had to have it happen to you or somebody you love in order for you to understand it, but that it actually, you can just step out of yourself and go, I can imagine how that must have been, and not center it on yourself.
Oh my gosh. I saw an image shared on LinkedIn. A local person took the girls in his office out to dinner. I mean, this guy's maybe 35. And he was like, it was so glad our support system here, these 3 girls. And I'm like, oh,
Jesus.
And what happens in the startup industry, especially, it happened like what we had happen to us in the 80s. Anybody remember when we were flooding law and finance and investment and all these categories, insurance, where women hadn't been before? So we wore our pinstripe suits and our white shirts and a little bow tie because we thought we had to emulate the male culture.
We did.
And we took up golf and we started having beers at the bar because we needed to find out what the conversation was.
Right.
And so I see that in our younger women starting saying dude and bro themselves and taking on the language. And I want to say, goddesses, we've worked way too hard to create, great leadership opportunities here. Just please, let's so anyway, anybody has, thank you, Drew, for your great comment right here. That was just so incredible. And, validating that. And then Deborah is saying the biggest issue with the bro culture is access to money for the rest of us. We need to solve that. Oh, hell yes. And again, I'm going to use Clubhouse as my favorite example because in the spring of 2020, 2 white males went and raised millions of dollars.
But they still couldn't get on both platforms.
Yeah. And with only one iOS as their app for their audio platform. And they got it all, and they had and big VC firms getting on them. And I can tell you, if a woman or a person of color had pitched for that kind of funding, they would have insisted, they being the investors, would have insisted that they had their platform built for both platforms, Android and iOS. And I got to tell you, in case you didn't know this, Clubhouse raised a round in February of 2021 with a valuation of $1 billion.
Now, sis, you want to keep me calm right now. You know how I feel about this. That was the two things that we would just go nuts about. And to take that to the next point of what happened was then all of a sudden, this particular platform is lauded as this fabulous thing. And so anybody who was on the iOS system, which quite frankly is not everybody. And so that's all of this, oh my God, everybody's like, the newest, best, hottest thing, or I'm now a guru and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you only have a certain percentage of the people that can get on it. And then you're telling me you have all this money? FOH.
Yes. And, and I remember someone that we both know said, well, they don't have the funds to create the Android. I'm like, oh, shut up. Of course they do. I'm on Crunchbase. I know exactly what they've raised for crying out loud. And speaking of one of the goddesses who are out there in our Boston startup scene, I love your question, Jessica. I'm curious to learn how they are sourcing their talent and how they are cultivating an inclusive environment. What is leadership doing to combat this? So important. So Jessica, I don't know if you follow Allison Byers and Scroobius, but Allison was invited to participate in a round as an angel investor. And it was going to be a guaranteed win. She was going to make, probably 10x her money, and everybody was diving in. And she said, you know what? I'm going to have to take a pass because there's no diversity on the board, on the team, nowhere. And everybody knows diversity really does win. And she took a pass and it just went viral, her response. So I'm very curious too. And Jessica, it's so important, this understanding. This is why so many women in tech, femtech, have had a better time since the pandemic because they're not surrounded by a lot of the language every day.
That's right.
And so, there's some distance on the Zoom calls, but it is the leadership. And just like we as women in the 80s coming in, and in the 70s and 90s, coming into a more very serious and senior C-suite roles, we needed men to pave our way. We really needed their championship, just like we need to champion and be allies to our people of color, our BIPOC. So the leadership has to understand that and educate these folks as to what is misogynistic behavior. Let me put a spotlight on that for you. Because you're making a woman feel like crap right now with that language. And so, I don't know, I just like to get the conversation going around this because I think it's something in my world, in the startup life world, we're seeing a lot of. And as Deborah
so many
says,
good comments. I've been just zooming through it while you're making that great point. It's really true. And I think it honestly, if your first reaction at whether you're in a leadership position or just in that mail of like, I don't get it, or well, explain it to me, because I had an example of that last night. I finally had to say, I'm not your girl for that. Like, there's plenty out there you can get. Like, if you like, help me understand are words of death to me, because there is plenty out there for you to Google. So help me understand to me is a huge red flag of, I don't want to understand. I want you to just do some heavy lifting. Because
help me to understand. Can you just say that for the crowd in the back? Folks, that is like, immediately you have to shut that shit down.
Yeah, you really
that. Help me understand. No, I don't need to help you understand anything. Go to work.
Yeah, do the work. Exactly. Because you've already, if you're saying that 9 times out of 10, and I'm making an assumption, you've already been given plenty, but hashtag make it make sense. Yes. You've already been given plenty of information to get you to that. You just don't want to get to that yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Oh,
Deborah, who else am I going to talk to about this, right? Except with Mia, who's going to be able to add voice and wind to it with all of you wonderful folks tuning in. And Drew, I'm
totally.
going to bring this up too. That's $1 billion worth of 7-figure level up BS that we'll never get back. Okay.
Can I have that in my 2 hours or whatever when I was on that Clubhouse thing? And I know, gosh, we don't think we're being bitter. We're just calling it what it is. Look at that, Vicky. Exactly. When you purposely exclude half the population, you will quickly lose. But I was so shocked again. Why I'm really harping on it is how long it went on for. I mean, if you're gonna launch something, usually kind of back in the day, yay, it was like 2 months. It was like a year and a half, and they're still whining.
Well, and they did this old trick, it's called the nightclub trick. Oh,
What's
you
that?
want to be? Oh no, you're behind the red velvet rope until we give you the VIP access.
Yeah.
So you can cut the line and come in.
Yeah.
That's
Totally.
crazy.
Totally. Oh, Drew, I agree. Andy, your knowledge and experience in this area is freaking awesome. No
Thank
doubt.
you, Drew. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's the startup world. And yes, Kelly, Mia just puts down the conviction big time.
Yeah, you too.
And just
Yes.
got to find that. And then I also want to just say, Jessica, I just love where you're coming from. And Jessica had a really, really good point here, which is, having the right coaches and mentors
Love
in
that
your
call.
sphere
Yes.
to help you through that and help you know. So definitely women, have some women who are seasoned and know and all of that.
Oh, look at this comment Jessica just put in there too.
Oh
Oh,
gosh, let's see.
yes.
That's good. Same, Deborah. The other day, my male friend was complaining about how we are leaving men behind.
Dude, how can you get behind when you're so far ahead? Please.
Do I have to bring up that wonderful graphic of the guy? And listen, we're not male bashing here. Really, we are not. We're talking about who has opportunity versus obstacles.
Right.
And so two people who are starting off at the same place, one has clear sailing and the other one has mountains, alligators, everything from Indiana Jones you can imagine in her way to get there.
Snakes.
And we're just going to keep continuing this conversation. Jessica, I went to an all women's MBA program. It was the first MBA program that had case studies with women leaders, women managers.
Sure.
And these two deans were Harvard PhDs and taught at the Harvard Business School. And in the early 70s, they said, enough. This is like BS.
Yeah.
And so they, founded with Simmons University an all women's MBA program to address this issue. And, it always just breaks my heart that so many decades later, it's like, why am I just feel like I'm on this loop. I'm protesting every single day for the same stuff again and again.
Back on your BS. And I love when in her comment, I'll just read it again, complaining about how we were leaving men behind and compared this to how we as women are elevating ourselves. You're like, those are two different things. Like how all of a sudden, they can be both and, we're doing this, that's on you. And that is, I will tell you, Jessica, you just hit the nail on the head of that's the biggest crux of it is they see any kind of amplification in some ways or calling out for accountability as the cancel culture. And there's nuances to all of that as well. We all misuse phrases just for our own, our own good or our own use. But
and also, Jessica, and everyone tuning in, one of my goals for this is to help women have the language ready in their back pocket memorized.
Yes.
So when your male friend starts complaining, you go, oh, do you need a tissue? You going to be okay?
Yeah.
But no, seriously, you want to have the language so that you can come back so you can, if possible, raise their consciousness.
Yes.
While standing in your own integrity. I don't know at all. I'll be honest with you.
It's really so true on that thing. That's helped me out a lot is to come up with buzz phrases or quick things. And then, even, and that's how I got to that point in my conversation recently was, okay, I can see that you're going to keep fogging me to I give you an answer and you've always got something for it. And then that's when I have personally learned to stop and be like, I'm not your person for this. I know what I know is right. And you're going to have to figure that out on your own or do your own research because I can just see you're going to keep going at this until you find a way to keep doing what you're doing.
And here's the scoop too. And I want to say, Jessica, because she's my hometown gal here. Um, I was I was having lunch with some all dudes and bro dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting there going, and of course, I'm a woman, of age, I'm over 60. And so I was thinking, what do I say? I mean, I wanted to, of course, just slam my hands on the table and start
Yeah. Right.
and
Down the
all.
barrel.
And I thought, okay, but how valid is my voice? These are the things that go on in my head. And maybe if
Mm-hmm.
I were 10 or 20 years younger, I would be in their peer group, and then maybe I would be validated in taking a stand. So I really had my own moments of
Sure.
doubt as well, Jessica,
Sure.
and it just lit a fire under my butt. And I said, okay, I need to be prepared too, because my voice is valid and I sure as heck know more than these folks here. And
Mm-hmm.
hey, Jessica, Deborah says I need to meet
Yes,
Jessica.
you do. Make sure you two connect.
I'm going to get Jessica's
Listeners.
LinkedIn right here,
Yes.
okay? And I'm going to bring it in.
Nice.
In the meantime, any other questions you want to read there, Mia, while I get.
Yeah, I like Deborah's comment here too. If I'll lose respect or social capital, if I speak the truth, I know I'm at the wrong table. I know, at least for now. Ooh, I love that clarification too. Look how you added that grace in there, for at least for now. And we have to all wisely choose where we plant our seeds. So true. That also is an energy saver as well. The more discernment we're using, so that we're not even starting down that road with it and have to do all the fixins that we know we can do. But my gosh, can you imagine the energy level when you're not doing all that?
That's right. No, it's too much. There's
So
so many
much.
things that we're trying to, navigate.
Yeah.
Let me just go ahead and I'll pull this up as well. Go
Oh,
connect
nice.
with Jessica on
Mhm.
LinkedIn, folks. She's amazing, and learn more about systemic flow. Jessica
Mm,
pitched at the monthly pitch event I co-hosted for 3 years here in Boston. And
nice.
that's how I got to know her.
That's
So
awesome. You know
wonderful.
so many good people, and y'all go follow all of Andy's shows. I mean, you're on the reg twice a week, showcasing in detailed and
Oh,
great
yeah. Well, I
people.
love learning about other people's businesses too. So I love celebrating what every
Be
founder is
curious.
bringing and crawling through.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about what has set, because you are an activist. Everybody,
Mhm.
just don't ever forget, and you can probably feel it right now. Mia's vibe is she is a mouthy activist, and she
Mhm.
cares deeply, and she loves to celebrate the joy and celebrate everything folks are doing, but she also cares deeply about taking a stand when social justice is going down. So
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about that, Mia. What has had
Sure.
you go through? And we've
Yeah.
had so much over the last year to talk about, of course,
We
but
we have, and an activist, an actionist, an ally, an accomplice, and those are sometimes complicated words for it, because we're all a work in progress. And so, and then also being on this spiritual journey, or feeling like I want to, keep my empath side and all that. There's that energy piece to it too that I struggle with. That
mhm.
is, that I don't want to be in the fight against, or the against piece, right?
Right.
That can be really tough. That choosing your words, and thoughts turn to things, all the little buzz phrases. So I will say I'm a work in progress, whoops, on that as well, of not being of tempering my energy and where it goes, not letting it spill over too much. Love me some righteous anger.
Yeah.
That's our shtick, right?
That's absolutely right. And I know that you're going to love this new platform that has come out. And
Yeah, let me see.
these folks, I just met the founders. This is so often
Wow.
when you're when you are from a marginalized and
Mhm,
underrepresented community. What do you
mhm.
do when you get hit sideways by legal challenges? You go to Google, trying to find an attorney. Folks who have privilege, they already have everybody in their back pocket, or they know
Mhm.
somebody who can refer them. So this new website, Legal Q, helps you with getting an attorney on demand. Okay, know your rights. And of course, they're right in the hotbed of a lot of stuff going on right now, right? In Wisconsin, in Minnesota, I mean, they're out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, but go check them out and they will help you because, and I can't say enough because they are about social justice and they want to make sure everybody gets correct and the best representation. And they're going to go nationwide with this platform, which is not easy as attorneys because there's a lot going on with that. So I just wanted to throw that up. Legal QIO, everybody. I'll have the link in the show notes as well.
Gotcha.
But it's important. And so when, you see someone getting carted off to jail for some tiny offense when there's so many big injustices happening.
And I mean, you can spend, as far as you can't unring the bell when the scales fall off your eyes in some senses of, and there's, everybody has their situation where that happened. For me, it was the timing of George Floyd, but then also finding out about Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery retroactively from that. And I had gotten involved with some activists here in Denver. And one thing I love about Denver is we have a very, very powerful Black community here that's getting stuff done. And I spend a lot of time observing and digesting their content and not adding my voice, but just elevating and sharing it, which is what we should all be doing, quite frankly, because they
and explain why.
Oh my God, how much time do you have, right? Because when you are not adding your voice to it and observing and taking it in, you are decentering it from yourself, and that is one of the biggest pieces I had to learn as a white woman. It was that you don't even realize how subtly you are white centering, white savioring, meaning like, let me share this message, but it's, put out through me. And so you'd still you centered and sharing that out. There's so many subtleties to it. And I think the piece that we don't realize as white people is the exhaustion that comes that we don't have from navigating the world, where you would need an app like what you just I mean, we have Legal Shield. You know what I mean?
But, exactly.
Right. But that's a piece that again, on the listening part.
Let's give an example because, we have a lot of people tune into the show and on the podcast because we think, oh, well, let's amplify. What can I do to amplify that voice? What can I do to amplify the cause? And it's only natural to say, let me share this with my network.
Sure. And I think, first of all, what you want to do, I think the hardest thing for a lot of activists is that their information got shared. They got a lot of attention. And I'm talking about Black and brown activists. They got a lot of attention. And then what would happen is this cascade of white people would come over with all this over helpfulness and this, how can I help? And I feel so badly. And just, again, that centering piece, as opposed to, again, taking it in and actually being a mouthpiece to other people, perhaps in private conversations, perhaps in private DMs, when you see somebody sharing something that is using wording that's really kind of hurtful. A lot of it is this very undersung work that doesn't center on you being this great person, showing that you donated or that you helped somebody, that you made it about you. And I'm trying to give you more examples, but
it's the UNICEF, it's the, Save the Child, it's all of that, white savior.
I'll tell you, the biggest trigger you'll see of something you don't want to support is a bunch of white people with that you can tell that it's them up here with all the money and look how helpful I am to this community. What you can do is give money to the local politicians that are vetted and to these local activists. Let them use the money. Don't come rolling yourself in there with your opinion when they actually, what they need is the financial support and to support them so they can build their community, not a bunch of people coming in that have their opinion on. It's just a new version of gentrification.
Yep. Brilliantly said. So thank you for going and pulling on that thread.
I did.
Again, because I guess this is the theme of the show is we do better. As we know better, we do better.
We do. Look at this.
And and I think a lot of us white, especially white female activists, thought we were woke, and then we were just realized we were so sound asleep.
It is, and I'm just going to dive down this rabbit hole for just a moment on that. Please be aware that one of the most dangerous things in the world right now is a helpful liberal white woman. And I have to check myself even when I'm talking to people and be like, I know how I could possibly seem to you because you've seen it, because the minute we get our feelings hurt,
Yeah.
we turn into something incredibly dangerous.
Right. And so, we see this. I love it, Jessica. Keep diving down that hole, Mia.
Woo!
That's a great idea, Jessica. Thank you so much. He says, Andy, this part of the conversation should be your snapshot video. You mark it on your platforms because this needs to be on replay all night and shoot every day.
I have
Much
so much fun
appreciate.
falling down these rabbit holes. We
Oh
really
my
do.
gosh.
We
So
share a lot.
here's another one that we're going to go into, everybody, and it's called toxic positivity. And it's, again, glorifying, in our case, the startup life, glorifying entrepreneurship, putting this incredible toxic positivity. And of course, you talk about, here, let me give you another way you can really beat yourself up, get caught up in the law of attraction and intention.
Yes.
Of course, you want to have intention in where you're putting your energy. Absolutely. But don't use it as a way to end up beating yourself up. But let's first off.
Totally. Which is why I'm so, I think you just, have to do your own due diligence on that. And yeah, it's good. But what were you going to say?
Let's talk about, the toxic positivity first, and then we'll go into the scarcity mentality caused by social engagement and how we can work with that.
Okay.
Mia and I really like to go deep on our topics, folks. And it's the second annual Andelicious holiday celebration. And may I just remind everybody one more time, if anybody's tuning in as we go in. Oh my gosh, we've been at this for an hour and a half. This is what happens. Oh gosh. Tonight, Mia and I are giving away, da-da-da-da, It's About Time, Arlan Hamilton, who we love and adore, but this book needs to be read by every founder, anybody who wants to make a difference in the world and feels like they are an underdog.
And I have to tell you, that book, the way that she writes it is so story driven as well. And so you really put yourself in her in her place. And then she really does help you understand that side. When we talking about Clubhouse and getting money, I mean, if you want to talk about what it looks like where all the money is not going to,
right,
and how she's doing work to change that, read this book.
Yes. And remember, when she closed on her first fund, she was homeless. She was sleeping at the airport. And she was getting Wi-Fi from the coffee shops. Okay. This is, and remember, she's like a 6'2" Black woman, a member of the LGBT community, the antithesis of venture capital.
Yeah.
And now just pure deliciousness. So how would you explain toxic positivity?
It's so interesting. For me, I really started to realize what it was when I saw the situation with Rachel Hollis blow up earlier this year, and the year before that, and the year before that, this woman here. So if you don't know who Rachel Hollis is, she wrote that Girl Wash Your Face and Girl Stop Apologizing, Girl Stop Being a Hot Mess is how I feel about her very strongly. And because what happens is you are putting out, and it specifically comes from, in some ways, white women. I know I'm getting on this rant, but
no, good, go.
But of the whole, like, we all have the same 24 hours in the day. No, we don't. Madonna in her bathtub earlier this year, we're all in the same boat. No. We're in the same storm. Right. But it's not this, stop saying that. And so that's the first piece of kind of making it seem that everybody just, puts their boots on one foot one pant leg at a time. I love to mix those kind of things up. But so that's that positivity where if you are struggling from OCD, depression, anxiety, if you are, like not food secure, not secure in your home, that's a whole different ball game of what you can consider that same 24 hours, or that we're all in the same boat kind of thing. And so when you say that to people, and this is where the Rachel Hollis piece comes in, because she was also very involved in the MLM world.
Yes.
And if you know me, I've fallen down so many podcast rabbit holes or YouTube videos about this topic, because what it has done is create this own private hell in some ways for a lot of people, of sitting at home, that maybe they have a misogynistic husband who's not going to support them and thinks he's just babysitting his kids or some BS like that, right? And so they feel like, what's wrong with me?
Right.
Because this is what this meme says, or this is what this person says. And when Rachel Hollis got finally full coal stone ass busted, finally, again, after years of plagiarizing people's work.
How did she get busted?
So the final straw, thank God, because she actually was responsible for for Austin Channing Brown getting almost doxxed and really attacked the year before, because that's when she came out in I think it was 2019. She came out with the and Still I Rise.
Yep.
And this woman here didn't credit. All she did was blame her team and didn't credit Maya Angelou. But anyway, this year she got on a TikTok and was saying that somebody called her privileged, and she's like, I had this woman that cleans my toilets twice a week, and it was just unbelievably privileged and awful. And it finally did. But I was watching it in real time. This was Good Friday weekend, and I was watching a lot of these. I think Ijeoma Olu was involved, and a lot of the maybe
I think Lovey
was involved, Luvvie. And we'll put links in here for it too. They were doing all this heavy lifting of educating in the comments, and Rachel Hollis's team was deleting things. I mean, there's just this whole piece where it was just so awful. And then she deletes her thing and then comes back to her big giant 6 million fan audience and says, I'm so sorry if of that thing. They're like, we love you, but all the evidence of it. And so the reason why I'm saying all these details is that this person specifically was almost like the poster child for that toxic positivity. Again, that there's just these tons of women and fans that think that there's just this easy key to it just by saying these words into thing and not even taking into consideration. And think about how alienating for our community that is, for you to just kind of silo yourself off of like, just get happy, especially
get up at 5 a.m. and get all this work done before the kids get going.
Yeah. Well, you've got 3 assistants, and your husband worked at Disney that you snagged when you were 18. So no, it's not the same.
No, it is not. And I'm going to pull up something here, because it ties
anybody
in.
Who knows me in this audience has heard me get on this before. So
thank you. Nofal is saying this convo should not be in a studio, but using a PA system.
All righty. Yes.
All right, I'm going to share a screen. Yeah, we had Delphine Carter, who's the founder of Bulo Solutions, on the show, and Bulo Solutions is trying to help corporations become woke in how they bring women into their work, on their team, and saying, what 20 hours have you got to give? Because we want to honor you, and we know you want to be here working, but that whole show up at 8 and stay until 6 kind of stuff. The guys are reading they're on their phones for the first 2 hours before they start working, and women cannot. The working moms can't, or even the working dads, of course.
Yeah.
But let me just bring this up so that folks can see. Essentially, we've been convinced we have to be a super mom or we're failing. Just take a look at Instagram and you'll find plenty of women working their way up the corporate ladder while cooking 5-star family meals and running the New York City Marathon in their spare time. The message is so insidious that when we find ourselves with free time, we believe we should be folding laundry, scrubbing toilets, or ordering supplies. We equate idleness at home with being unproductive.
Wow, great quote.
Okay. You feeling me,
Yeah.
folks?
Oh, that's a great quote.
This is, again, this is not women this is anti-woman. And so women
Deborah's
in
comment's really good too on that.
yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead and read Deborah's
Oh,
comment,
yeah.
please, and I'll pull it up.
It's hard for super entitled humans not to slip into dismissing negative emotions or feedback on that behavior. They tend to respond to distress with false reassurances rather than empathy because they don't have any. Dang.
Hey, listen, I grew up in a waspy family.
Yeah,
There was
yeah.
zero empathy. You were lazy or
Seriously.
you were
Oh my God.
productive.
Those people.
Mm.
Right.
So
It
thank you,
totally is.
Deborah,
Yeah,
for that.
that was great. And it's really, really true. And I think that's the biggest piece of it of like, you know, because
Yeah.
I've been over here, got all
And
the
so
help.
if you're going to do hashtag women empowering women, it's
Mhm.
how can I be there for however you need to show up, and how can I add wind to your
Yeah.
sail
Yeah.
for however you need to show up for
Yes.
having a successful life. And we
Yeah.
get shoved down our throats what success is supposed to look like.
Yes.
Nobody can define that for you, folks.
No.
Only you can define that.
Yeah, and on that note too, I one thing I've been doing lately is I've seen a couple of posts that had alternative things to say to people. And not that these are things that I was necessarily saying, but like, oh, what the, people that would say like, what doesn't kill you make you stronger, all these like quote trite little things. And I think all of us doing the homework on figuring out alternative things to say, like what you just said, what can I do to put wind in your sails, or just holding space for people rather than these pat answers that compound the problem, I think.
That's right. And I saw, a bunch of folks talking about the word pretty. Look, I've always been into dolling up since I was like out of the womb. It's
Yeah.
just accessorizing.
Yeah.
It's brightening.
Mhm.
But, the pressure on women to be pretty is really tough. And that
Mhm.
leads us to the challenges on social media. We're out there, we're trying to build our business. We aren't trying, we're
Mhm.
building our businesses. We're
Mhm.
leveraging these platforms
Mhm.
to help get the word out and build brand awareness. But there's a scarcity mentality that can be caused by social engagement. So my gosh, we have to
Yeah.
have our blinders up and be careful, because
Yes.
folks are coming from a place of lack. Right,
Yes.
Mia, and what they're talking
Yes.
about?
Yes. Amen. And
Jump on
I
that,
agree.
mouthy goddess.
Oh, yes. And I just thought of the analogy. I remember when I moved to New York City, lived in New York City, and then moved from New York to Boulder, Colorado. And I grew up in a town in Illinois that's very similar to Boulder. It's a college town. So I moved to New York, and one of the biggest things that I remember finally learning was when I was walking to work is to not make eye contact, especially in New York City. If you're like, for me, I lived at 92nd and 2nd, and I worked at 59th and 5th. So I had to walk this way, take a subway 10 or 15 stops, and get out and walk. And so in that time, you're just constantly connecting with people. And one thing that I remember having to do was just not making eye contact, because it just was like boop, boop, boop. It was just giving out, you'd get the elevator. You know what I mean? When somebody gives you the elevator, they look at your outfit up and down. That'll suck
Well,
the life out of you.
oops, sorry.
Right?
They also, I had a friend who could price that outfit. It wouldn't even
Oh
just do the elevator.
gosh.
She'd be like,
Wow.
uh-huh,
Savage.
2050.
And I appreciate it. That's a stellar that's a stellar
That's
thing. And I
good.
just but you know what I mean? You just get so exhausted by people. So on the same wavelength of that, of just connecting it too much into people's energy, because I don't care how strong you are. And I know we are both, and people on here watching are pretty solid, but you can inadvertently get that energy, like, just sucked out of you like tree sap almost, if you're
I'll
not really
Can I
careful
give you
about
I'll give
that.
you a great example, folks. I'll
Yeah.
keep, real transparent
Sensory
here.
overload. That's
So,
right. Yeah.
um, this, what I do here is absolutely a passion of mine. I've waited 40 years. I've worked very hard in my life, pulled on threads, never
Mhm.
settled. And it
Mhm.
took technology to sort of catch up for me to do this. And I
Yeah.
realized in January that I didn't want to coach one-on-one. I wanted to just fully up my live stream host game, amplify diverse founder voices, and just have these meaningful conversations in the startup life world. But I am not a quote successful founder. I don't have a great exit story. I'm not a cashed out entrepreneur. I'm not
Okay.
part of a venture fund.
Okay.
So when someone recently just launched a podcast with her team of producers that, everybody, I mean, I love that for her. Don't get me wrong. I
Yes.
love that.
Yes.
She's a wonderful cashed out entrepreneur who's,
Mm.
got the funds now, which is great.
Mhm.
She worked really hard for that. I really honor that. And she's, an investor, which is super cool. And she has a sponsor already. I could just go right into hashtag why bother,
Oh,
because
yeah.
that's, I
Comparison, thief of joy.
that's exactly right. We all have our lanes and we all have what it is that we want to bring and how we want to bring it. And you'll
Yeah.
see that in the show. I'll sprinkle it in with some luminaries, but mostly my goal is to bring in everyday founders who are
Mhm.
in the trenches, because that's the representation we need
Yes.
to help us to continue going. If you constantly, and here's that whole scarcity thing, if you're not a unicorn, how good are you? Look, if you're feeding
Sure.
your family, if you've got repeat sales, I just feel so strongly you're a winner. If you're feeding the community, i.e., you're hiring people,
Mhm.
what?
Oh my
That's
God, that's
amazing.
huge. You know what? Oh,
So go
wait,
ahead.
what you're doing tonight though is a good example, and I want to point out in case you guys haven't caught this pattern going on here, is you have woven in a story about so many founders as we talk, and I am digging that, right? Because you also remember who they are, right? And so you mentioned at least 5 or 10 people already of the different stories, and then the other great distinction is this isn't like this was your great life show where we're just going to talk about like how like the how I built this show, which I have, a love-hate relationship with that program. But it's more of like, hey, you're in the middle of this. And so the stories that you tell, I think, can kind of be the antidote
Right.
to what we're talking about, because everybody's still in the thick of it too, but then still sharing tips on how they make it easier, or what the small things they're doing in their world.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mia. And it's
Yeah.
true. And folks, so this is how we amplify each other,
Mhm.
is that, so much, of course, the red carpet stars, I love them all and I love to
Mhm.
dish on them, etc.
Yes.
But and it's the same thing in the world of startup life. We have luminaries and we get new sparkles that come in, and it's very exciting. But there's a swell of really amazing founders out there who are doing great things every single day. And,
Yeah.
might be at 5 million in sales, 1 million, 50 million,
Yes.
yeah.
I'm so sorry, but somebody is knocking at my door and I
Oh,
don't know if it's Santa. So hold that thought, y'all.
I will.
Oh,
I will. How much fun is it to talk with Mia, everybody? I'm just going to put myself into full screen here. And I'm going to remind everybody, too, I'm giving this away tonight. Hashtag startup life in the comment section, and I will send you a copy of It's About Damn Time, Arlan Hamilton, the winner, that is. StreamYard has this really cool tool that you can put hashtag startup life. You got this, it's kind of a giveaway. And at the end of the show, I'll press the button, it'll go boom, it'll pull out the winner, and I will send you this book. And the best part of Arlan's book is really owning and loving your lived experience, because your lived experience is what makes you so uniquely qualified. What did you get me?
it was my
Unbox?
mechanic dropping off cookies that he made for me.
Well, wait a minute.
Because I adore him.
Come
And
on, folks.
I have apples in the tree at this house here, and he and his girlfriend made like little apple cookies and some apple butter. So
Now,
I
most of
loved
us
it.
make, most of us have to make cookies for the mechanic, right? Just to keep in their good favor. But no, Mia's mechanic makes cookies for her.
I love this guy so much. Yes. Oh my God, look how cute they are too.
Oh, let me just hold on. Let me bring it up again.
Little homemade
Oh my
cookies.
gosh, they're works of art.
They are. Look at and these folks are from the Midwest anyway. Thank you, Eric. Oh my
Now,
goodness.
those are great cookies. Oh, look at, she's
Mhm.
diving in, wine and
Oh, no,
cookies,
sorry.
everybody. It's
Mhm.
perfect. So, I
What'd I
just wanted to
miss?
touch a little bit on that, because founders, we can see, doesn't matter how seasoned you are, you can look around and go, wow, they're doing that so much better than me, or they have, a lot more going on for them. And we have to, as often as possible, avoid feelings of shame and
Mhm.
avoid if we can, the negative self-talk. And it's hard, but it's part of our strengthening our ability to manage this journey, and always just coming back into why you are on this journey. I know this sounds a little cliche or trite, but it really, really works, and will help keep your heart engaged as well as your soul.
Yes.
So another thing that I love, love, love to chat about is, what are we reading? What are we talking about, with environment and conscious capitalism,
Yes.
animal rights. You have a lot going on in that. I mean, I have seen the cutest pictures, with the donkeys, you're always picking up food for the pet pantry.
That's my favorite too. And
Talk.
I love finding, and those have been my favorites that I found. Probably speaking of founders and companies that run well, I think a very important thing for all of us too are to find organizations that are being run well locally, because
Yes.
I put my effort into rescue organizations that aren't well run, and they don't do well with their volunteers, and they just burn them out. It's hard to figure that out. I've gotten to know some of the ins and outs of it. I mean, I think too, if they're always in a crisis mode, and that's tough to discern because everything's a crisis mode, certainly in pet rescue with what's happened in the last 6 months. I cannot understand this phenomena of people adopting all these pets and taking them back. It really has damaged my faith in humanity a little bit. Nevertheless, we persist. And I would say,
Oh,
I don't know if you all know about that, but there's just this huge rash of folks bringing them back. Again, I just can't imagine it. So, finding organizations. So, for instance, Colorado Pet Pantry that I volunteer with. So, they're an organization that works with like pet food companies, and then also with vets, and they work with the actual food bank. And so they set out these little places where people can donate pet food.
yep.
And then you have all these drop-offs throughout the Front Range of what's considered here in Colorado, and throughout Colorado. And then Phillips pet food distribution, we would go there and they'd have excess food. And so it's just this well-oiled machine of not only having the places where you could drop off food, but then all of the food banks where you can go and pick that up and just easily go through and pick up food. And then they, again, work in conjunction with,
Is this the
thank
place?
you. Yes.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My darling friend, Eileen, and I got to know them because I had a truck that I was doing a brand drive for, and was like, hey, who needs help? Who needs things picked up? This was 3 years ago. And I just been, started in 2013, and, initially helped it. So what they do is they keep pets fed. They keep people with pet food so they can keep their pets fed and out of the shelters. Because a lot of times why people do take their pets back is they can't even afford to feed themselves.
hello. It's expensive.
It's expensive.
Yes.
So look at that. Help us feed more pets. That's literally what they do. And it's just so well oiled and well hard for food. Yes. So they just, and here's what I love too, because, I have my darling Gidget back here, my rescue Frenchie, and look how they set this up that you can use your grocery store card to go right to donate. I know. Can you? And these are all pets that show up at the food banks so they can get pet food. Here's what I love too. They're so well run. I also am able to help pets without being directly involved with rescue, because my heart.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You'd be bringing them all home.
They bring them all home. Either that, or I would kneecap
Yeah.
some folks too, because that's how I roll too. I bring in, what does Louisa Garrett say? That I bring a bazooka to a knife fight sometimes. So I just adore that organization. There's other rescue organizations as well. Some people also have to temper a little bit of my opinion on that. And so people say, I went to a breeder. I had to get this kind of pet, which inside makes me shrink a little bit in my soul when I hear that. I'm like, oh my God, there's so many pets that needs homes. However, I do counsel people, if they feel like they need to do that, to what I call offset your doggy carbon footprint, and then donate to a shelter. If you feel like you have to go buy that, then just make a monthly donation. Here's another pro tip too: making monthly donations, of making a donation that you are consistently going to give, is so important for helping companies stay afloat, because they can depend on that money.
That's
So
right.
I always suggest that, just like, supporting your local
Mhm.
NPR, CPR is ours here in Colorado.
Yeah.
So on another quick rant, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts that's talking about a lot of investigative journalism and some of the things that have been found out simply by local news sources that have pursued. I mean, that's how Elizabeth Holmes is on trial right now. Who knows how that's going to turn out? But that was a Wall Street reporter who was just intrepid
And
and
got
was
in there and tell
and
everybody quickly who maybe have missed the Elizabeth Holmes story.
Elizabeth Holmes is this, she's, I mean, talk about like vetting your sources of who you're giving money to. So she was responsible, or the CEO of a company called,
Yep.
mm,
It's going to come.
give me a second, Theranos.
Yes. Oh, yes, 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 yes.
Theranos. And
That's
John
right.
Carreyrou was the Wall Street Journal reporter who wrote Bad Blood based on that. So they're in the middle of the trial right now. But basically what she did was she said that she was changing up the world of blood testing. And so it really affected a lot of people, because they were going and having to give vials of blood. And she just got millions of dollars of money given to her in investment funds. And nobody would question her. And we're talking about some pretty high level people: George Shultz, Henry
Yep.
Kissinger, the DeVos family,
Yep.
whatever, that they lost money. But anywho, it's all about that. Everybody was like, why?
Yep.
You were not even a scientist. And the people that did try to question these whistleblowers. So I think it's important, back on that whole thing of your reputation and who you're backing, and questioning things.
Absolutely.
Questioning
And it's so
things.
frustrating for founders who are actually really doing good work and who would get a huge lift from $250,000,
That's absolutely right.
maybe $1 million.
Yeah.
And then someone like this can go in. And this is what happens to our venture capital fund folks. They
Mhm,
have raised all this money into their fund, and
mhm.
now they have to take that money and get a return to those folks. That
Yeah.
is their agenda. So as much as they say they're going to invest in diverse founders, they really want to go with the sure bet. And so if you've got a lead investor
Yeah.
like a Andreessen, or somebody who has a good brand name, a Silicon Valley or New York VC firm, Boston VC firm, then you want to
Right.
get on that bandwagon, be part of that, because you figure they've done their due diligence. Well, no, they're just following pattern matching, and they've got their own egos in there. And she probably had some great, like, the DeVos families. Somebody in there said, put money in with this woman. She's going
Yeah.
places. And that's how it happened.
Bernie Madoff was the same. I mean, he just, and what he would do, and this is a thing to look out for, is that
Mhm.
when someone would question, he would use that FOMO thing
Yeah.
and say, nope, I don't want to talk to you then. And so then they would get frozen out, like, oh my gosh, well, I guess I was wrong. And he'd be like, no, no, no. And so then other people would hear that, be like, don't make him mad. Meanwhile, the rest of the story.
That
Bernie
could be right.
Madoff is probably
Yeah.
the worst, one of the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
So it's one of my biggest goals to continue for 2022 is, again, this discernment piece. And I think that the more spidey sense that we have, the better business we're going to do, period.
Absolutely. And folks, this is why when you're looking in founders, you are in the driver's seat when you're raising capital. I know it, feel like you're begging, with your hat out for money. You're not. You are doing folks a favor. You have come up with a great
That's right.
idea. You're getting traction. You're building that business.
Mm.
Investors need you. So I
Yeah.
always encourage founders to talk to what I call the operator investors. These
Mm.
are specific, either VC or angels, who understand the operations of the business, and they're going to ask some really tough questions. They're not just some MBA that's been brought into a venture firm, and they do this all the time, Mia. I've had people say they were, a a partner in a VC firm and they might be 3 years out of Williams College. I do not understand that. I want someone who was part of the founding team at Travelocity. And, you want people who have been in the trenches and know how hard it is that you're working, and they're bringing that discernment.
Yeah.
So if anybody would like a list of questions you must ask investors, please reach out to me. I will send you that list. It is so important. Not just what you
everybody get it. Honestly, you know what? I feel like that can be a gateway drug into getting more into this investor world simply by looking at the questions that you're talking about, Andy.
Yeah. And we see on Twitter all the time. It's just every time I turn around, there's another VC fund being raised. And again, everybody's talking, it's all going to go into diverse founders. I ain't seeing it yet, folks. Sorry. But that's why so many of our diverse founders are doing what's called regulation crowdfunding, which is the equity crowdfunding.
Okay.
Because then folks like you and me can throw $100, $250 at it and just go,
yeah. And what was a couple of things that you got to invest in? I mean, I think what Arlan's, right? I mean, there's a couple of things.
Absolutely. I mean, Arlan went right to Republic, which is a great equity crowdfunding platform. And she raised, I think it was $1 million in not minutes, but in hours. And, you throw down 250, you don't have to come in like a 5, 10K, 25K to be an angel investor. You can come in with your hundreds. I also just invested in Needle, NEDL, which is going to be another audio platform for podcasters and people who have voices and want to share their voice. The founder, I mean, I tweeted just yesterday, thanking him, or maybe it was this morning, thanking him for his thank you. I mean, he's just constantly saying, thank you. Here's our update. Here's what we're doing. I also invested in Trello Technologies, which is Asia Atwood and her co-founder came up with a way to grow plants horizontally. And this is such a game changer because it lowers the use of water and labor and electricity and harvesting, not just in cannabis, but in any kind of plant. And so
that show.
I had her on the podcast. And so I want to have her back on, and again, I could never put 10, 25, 30K in as an angel investor. But I love knowing I've got some skin in the game, because Warren Buffett always talks about that's the best part of investing, is that you're an owner.
You're the little mini owner. And again, not that, and I'm going to bust on MLMs of, not that just you bought the starter kit kind of thing, but you still have to sell exactly what it is. You have no variation. If you're not setting the prices in a sense, you're not an owner. So, and you're also out with the competition. I've always had an interesting little little hate relationship with it.
This is why I bring back Desire to an end, because I just was so frustrated every day online seeing what I would call the MLM business advice. Nobody was crunching numbers. Nobody was talking about data. Nobody was talking about customer acquisition.
No. And just the fact that, so, and I know some people get, chapped about that, and that's okay too. But I love this alternative to it, because I believe what you're talking about, and even in the smaller pieces, are what MLMs were kind of originally intended upon, in the sense of creating
democratizing.
That's right, democratizing, and especially as female founders and either female presenting, or if you are wanting more equity. And I think Deborah made a great comment way up earlier about working with companies that had the divine feminine and the masculine combination. I mean, I totally dig it. And I think it's
yin
possible.
And the yang. Yeah.
It is not an over romanticized thing that we just think that it's some kind of, pipe dream to say that we can't run companies like that. However, what we can't rely on is the system. And if anything tells you that, it's the last 4 or 5 days with some, that's good. The last 4 or 5 days with what's going on in our government. So even more so now, we need to be so driven in whatever business it is, whether we're an entrepreneur with a paycheck and insurance, which is one of the better kind.
Right.
Thank you, Jessica. And then also, or just, entrepreneurs, or like you said, getting together with a founders group, now more than ever, the systems are failing, and we need to be a part of it and solvent to be in that.
Well, and Deborah's saying so many women don't see themselves as investors. Starting small is a great way to gain confidence. And Deborah, you've been
Yes.
around long enough to know that's what Emily's List was about. Women were still into baking cookies and showing up at bake sales to help raise money for their alumni and maybe a politician. And Emily's List really helped women step up and understand the power of their dollar and their investment. And and for me too, Deborah, I mean, you can go and drop $100 at a meal in a heartbeat, or $250. And I think, rather than just, poop that out, why not take that and put it toward a founder who could use that money? And
so true.
And maybe we call it our wallpaper investments, because, until they have an exit and you get the money back, that's what it is. But, it's added wind to their sails, and it's given them confidence. And if it's something that you're passionate about, and, and you've done your due diligence on the founder and you know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And so the other thing Kelly, absolutely ping me. I'll send it to you. I've also got one list of questions that are great that you need to be prepared for with investors. But boy, you got to know how to ask those right questions. We want to be better citizens of the world. And I have to say, you just talked about how, what's been going on with the government. I have to tell you, the coal miners union is kicking ass right now.
Really? Do tell.
Well, they're just stepping up and saying, to Manchin, right?
Yeah.
No. You better get back in that table. You better make this work out.
Wow, good. Yes. Are you seeing that on Twitter?
Yes, and in the news and everywhere.
Yeah, okay,
good. So he's, sort of backpedaling. But what I love about you, and you've continued to share this beautiful mindset of yours, is how can I be a better citizen of the world, right? And there's so many ways to, go jump out the cellar window or light yourself on fire because you can't take it anymore. But the way you can,
it's not just the wine talking, little FYI. I feel this way about you, even not wind up.
So it's just, it is, trying to find, not just manage the rage, but, and this is, I talk about this a lot with you too.
We do.
Drives me nuts. And I'm sure founders, this drives you nuts because you're all problem solvers, but this chicken little hand ringing, and there's that problem, there's that problem, there's that problem. It's like, shut up about the problems.
Yeah.
And let's talk about what we're going to do to fix them and how do we.
Today's a perfect day to talk about that with this little,
solstice,
light dark,
light dark. So what are your thoughts? And, I know you've got some books in your shelves, you've got some people you follow, and Mia will send me the links and I will put them into the show notes. But, to help you up, because you spoke a little bit about being more woke, which is great, but at the same time, and I loved how you helped people understand better how they can be better allies.
Yes.
But, we have a global situation here as well. So
we do. And I think it's for me with the hygge, the giving joy did.
Read that out loud for me.
Yeah, the giving joy does exactly that. I know you see me reading it in my head. They provide $500 grants to women entrepreneurs globally. And I just think that's just amazing because that $500. This is the thing that I love about women is part of my brand too, that when I haven't talked about as much, is just that women make all the buying decisions, period. And I'm just, asterisk with like small percentage of men, whatever. But I mean, we're talking about 85% or not, if not more, of overall buying decisions are made by women.
Yeah.
And then I also add this caveat because people get confused about that, whether it's their money or not. Okay. So that's also still buying power. So don't get it confused, even though we're still at 85, 65, 75 cents on the dollar. Ooh, that's amazing. Ooh, oh yeah.
Thank you, Jessica, for this.
I'll go back through the comments and follow that too. And I'll put, and everybody follow me and I'll follow you back for sure. Oh, need support Afghan women. Absolutely. So, that this piece of us really realizing our buying power and where that stands. And that's, been one of the things that chafes me a lot, is just how we're not spoken to, but yet we still are making the buying decisions. And that's not just for us. We hear about a friend that's going through chemo and we hear about a really good balm that works out great for that. My friend Layla was here this week, and she heard about some Black-owned businesses that had these beautiful shea butters. And so I was like, tell me where that is too, because she loved that. So you see how when we think about these ideas, we think outside of just what's my own buying power.
Right.
No, I don't have children. I'm going to think about something cool, or I'm going to think about an investment program that somebody is telling me about that's helping kids take advantage of being money-minded. And that's one thing I heard. I met this amazing school teacher when I was in Vegas, actually, young girl too. She was like, we are not teaching. She's like, I said, not teaching any of this stuff about, balancing a checkbook, all these things, and
You have to run your life.
how to run your life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, there's that great movement. I was going to try to pull up some artwork, hashtag buy from a Black woman.
Oh, yes. I love that.
So
And that's not
important.
pandering. Talk about that. That's power. That's not, oh my gosh, it's more like buy for them. And then also give money for their time. Dr. B. Shabazz that we love, Barbara Shabazz on Instagram. I mean, that's some time. And I started to mention that too. This is what happened though and I see a lot of our Black influencers and speakers, and I say activists, but some of them are not activists. And they don't want to be the fixer. They're just very, very focused on what it is they know about. But what happens to them, like I said, is a lot of people come over who are like, ooh, who are you? Explain it to me. I feel bad. Help me feel better about being white. You know what I mean? Like, and they'll post to be like, please don't send me. And so that's one thing that I do a lot with people that have shared things. I will privately message and say, is it okay for me to share this?
Right.
And then two, kind of let them know that I feel like I have a safer crowd that's not going to dogpile on them and be like, well, what do you mean by that? And
make their lives harder. Yeah, no.
It does make it that I will say that was an offshoot for a lot of the folks that we know. And you and I saw that happen to a lot of them, just simply based on their posts of, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted because now I've got this whole new slew of newbies that need to be acknowledged in their world. And that's the thing I'm really working on, is being aware that I don't need to be acknowledged. I don't need to comment on everything.
Nope. Take it in, folks. Unless you're just like, oh my God, and dripping.
Biggest thing is the Instagram stories. That is my biggest thing for these artists and activists and story sharers, is I just share their story and I tag them in the story. Share their story, tag them in it big. Right.
You know who does this really well is Nicole McKinney. We had her on, I think it was January last year, and she has her new business, which is Wake the Consciousness. But no, I swear to gosh, she is a curator of outstanding Instagram moments, and she puts them one after another on her feed.
Yes.
And she's just brilliant at it. One thing that you did, that you suggested last year, that has made a difference in my life over the last year, Mia, which is, this is,
get it. Yeah. And that was last year.
I know. So it's probably doubled or tripled by now. That's 59 million views that Mia had in December of 2020, folks. But what Mia said and shared with us is, like, even if you're pulling it out of archives, go ahead and tell people. This is just one of my favorite pieces of advice, especially for local businesses.
Yeah. Is leaving reviews.
Yes.
Leave reviews. And so, basically what I do that on, I start with Google Maps. That's what that image was from. I need to pull up my profile. Yep. And I go and I take photos. So, the goofy thing, if you see influencer, like, don't touch your food because I'm taking a picture. Well, you can use that for good. You can walk into a place. I went into a Quiznos downtown Denver the other day. It was when I went to that Parasol Patrol thing where we were cock blocking, pardon me for saying that, Westboro Baptist Church people who were protesting our governor who was gay, and the signage that they had out there. So all we did, which was very hard for me, was we just showed up with rainbow umbrellas and we just held up the umbrellas in front of them. And then we had like clackers like you have and little fans. We didn't yell at them, but we blocked their message.
I'm proud of you, Mia.
Thank you, honey.
Mia's the type to say, hold my wine. And
Yes.
she'll
Yes.
dive into the fray. And I'll
Yes.
be like right there fighting with you.
Totally. And
We're not good.
thank you for the reminder about the photos because I'm at 74 million now. So I
Wow.
haven't done as much and but it just is so fun. So what you can do, I walked into the Quiznos and it turns out it's the very, very first original Quiznos in
No
downtown Denver.
way.
It was adorable. And so I just stood there while I was waiting and just took pictures and pictures and you'll get these random photos that so when you're thinking like, oh, let me go somewhere, you look it up on Google Maps, you read those reviews and you look at these photos. It's just an incredibly, oh my gosh, you just feel so empowered. This is Peter's Chinese now at 2.4 million views, just a
Oh my
random picture of
gosh.
their thing, and I put a little, I don't always put descriptions in it. But then I did a promotion for downtown Plano a couple of years ago. They paid me to go down there and I took this picture of downtown. This has 1.9 million views.
Wow.
So that means that people are coming in and seeing content that's created by someone else rather than the business owner.
That's
I
right.
mean, right now, especially guys, I do feel like we're or folks that we're coming into a time when we're not going to be able to get out as much again, just for a little bit.
Yep.
And boy, what can you do better than going back through your pictures? Or if you go pick up that food, or when you do start going out, just walk into that dentist
Exactly. So
and
this is,
take pictures.
I did nothing. I had nothing. And
Yeah,
now I think
this
I'm
is
at
me. You.
no. I can't remember what I'm at. I think I'm at like almost maybe 100,000. And
That's
I was
huge.
it's huge. So when Koshari Mama opened up and these other
Oh,
restaurants
yes. Look at that. Good
and
for you.
let's see, I'll get there they are. But let me just show and then of course I did one for shit we don't talk about.
Thank you. You're
So you can
so
do it for
good.
businesses that, happen to have a Google presence. And if you don't have a Google presence for your business, see me. I'll give
Do
you
you have, yeah, what talk to just coach me on that then too of like, zhuzhing up your Google
absolutely. So
profile.
it's very, very easy. I have if I don't have a video for it, I better do a video for that. It's just very simple to go on Google, set it up so that when people Google startup life live show, for
Mhm.
example, it will show up on the right and reviews can be left and I can add information. I can add videos. I can add conversations. I can
Yep.
add whatever I want. And then, anybody who might want to take a picture of me like this, during a show can then say, hey, I had a great time, learned a lot. So we can do that
Yeah,
for each other
we
in
can.
our
Yeah.
coaching businesses. We can do
Yeah.
all of that. So I'll make
And
sure everybody gets.
yeah, you're so good about that too that I think you really rattled my cage in a good way on LinkedIn because you wrote a review for me. I
Yes,
think
I
there's a
did.
there's a couple of things that you did. And so I think also as founders, female founders, business owners, not being afraid to ask for that support as well
It's
of somebody
huge.
else's opinion
Oh,
of you, and then just randomly offering your own, and it doesn't have to be long. But here's the other cool thing too,
yeah.
is that the more that you do that on Google, so now I'm at like a level 8, my stuff is shown more. And so
Yes.
then I used to only just write nice stuff. And
Eh.
then I like, girl, you got it. And so there's one church that was just totally misogynistic. Woo! God, did I go to town on that one? I should post a link so y'all can enjoy it too.
Yes, thank you.
I will, because you will.
You're
But
not a mouthy activist for nothing.
exactly. And it will, it shows your credibility because you
Yes.
see when some people are getting trolled. And my friend Jadana that has Margot and Max that's in um, Ferndale, Michigan, when she was targeted with hate crime by her neighbor.
Oh,
She went to city council. She spoke up really loud. Look up Jadana Dingus, Dinges. I'll post some links. And what happened was there were people then that were going over to her business. So also, if you have a business listing, keep an eye on that. Don't just let
mhm.
comments just sit there. You need to go watch it because somebody could go say something really crappy.
And yeah,
Um,
and I
and
love and you can see examples of language you can use to respond to those yucky comments.
yes, yes. Here's another thing that happened to me once. So this is a little bit of a how to avoid this, but somebody was mad at somebody else in my life, and they decided to go over to my business page on Facebook, and they left a really awful review, but then they blocked me. So I didn't know it was there, but I remember seeing that I had 5 reviews, but I had a 4-star rating, even though I had 5-star
Mm-hmm.
reviews. So then I went on as Bob Voss, my dead cat, and then saw that this person had left a review, but because she had blocked me, I couldn't see it. So I think having, maybe find a partner that can go and do a little, a social audit of your things and see if there's something you can't see.
Brilliant idea. Because now, we talked a lot about the last year and what's got our panties in a twist and what's got our hearts singing and all of that. But looking forward to the year, what are some of the things? Because again, it's the balance time, it's the solstice, and we're waiting to bring in this new year. What's kind of humming for you for the next 12 months? And it can be just hanging out in the mystery. But do you have anything that's humming that you think is going to be picking up and you're going to go, oh, I'm going to be doing more of that?
Yeah, I think I'm just going on the overall feel of it, because I had made some proclamations for this year in particular with 22, which I love that today is 12/21/21. I'm such a numbers person. I know you are as well. A lot of our folks here, so I find the divinity in that. But 22 has always been my number. I was born on the 22nd. I love that I will be 57 this coming year. I love that those add up to 12. So I've really had seen even 2 or 3 years ago as 57 being sort of this landmark thing. Now, of course, the last 2 years is sort of, I don't want to say derailed, but changed some direction on what your expectation is. What did I see? How it started, how it's going, and it was John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John in the convertible in Greece, and then the other one is John Travolta and Uma Thurman from Pulp Fiction after she ODs. Like, this is the difference in how we look, how it started, how it's going. I don't feel necessarily that exhausted, but I think just the overall feeling of, for me, freedom.
Yeah.
I'm feeling an autonomy.
Yes.
And I also feel that I'm going to, I'm 20 years into this construction business. So I am going to make a proclamation. Here we go. So I've been a building inspector for 20 years. It's very physically demanding. I'm in chemicals, things that off gas, carpet, paint, all that. I'm very good at it, but I am going to transition out of that cash cow. It's also can be a little it's a tough job to be hated. So I am looking to transition out of that permanently for something else that is
holding that space.
Hold that space for me. Thank you. Because it's like, well, you're good at it, but but
sometimes you have to say no to some of that.
You do.
Oh, it's so hard.
I felt that a little like, whoop. Oh. So, because you get it next, and especially if coming after a year and a half of all of us having to find new clever ways to do that. So I will say that as one of my goals is to parlay whatever those skills are into something else that is it's also very one-off. I mean, it's just me going out there. So if something happens,
Yeah. But I'm sure there are other ideas that are percolating that we will all watch and see unfold because you're so talented.
Shit we don't talk about will blow up a lot more this year too. I've had a full year of it. So there's just so many. So if there's anyone out there that would like to pitch to be on it too, the point of shit we don't talk about is discussing topics that may seem like they're discussed, but they're really not. So I've covered everything. Like we said, I've actually covered ethical non-monogamy. I've covered, everything to do with, racial equity, suicide, a lot of the topics, even like we're going to talk about microdosing and things like that. So a lot of the things you'd want to know more about. And so if you have someone that needs, because I also want it to be guests that, want to share that lived experience, please reach out.
Excellent. We will do that.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, Deborah. That's so great.
That's big words, little FYI. So I see you.
It's, and I hope founders too are thinking about what they want to call in, what's
Yeah.
important, and also staying flexible, because a lot of times we have to offer and not hold on with such strong attachment to the
Yes.
outcome.
Yes. What about you?
My goal is to reach out to to accelerators around the world who, the pockets of little, not little, but, smaller
Mhm.
entrepreneurship pockets that don't have the rich resources that we do in our wonderful
Mhm.
cities here.
Connect.
And that can be, US as well as Jakarta or
Mhm.
Africa or Europe, and try to help add wind to their sails, see if I can't collaborate with them and get the word out, have more of an impact on founder journeys
Mhm.
through talking to people like you who are every day showing up for their business, working out the problems, shifting, evolving, growing, maybe closing down one business, opening another, and what that road looks like, and really bring representation so that more people can see it and be it, and not and continue to dissolve the glorification of what success looks
Yeah.
like. And
Normalizing a lot of these conversations and changing the narrative. I know those are overused buzzwords, but it's
yeah.
really true.
And then the other thing I want to do, and I've got our next guest on the Startup Life Live show, first show in 2022 is PR. We
Nice.
do not do enough of this as founders. We work
Yes.
so hard on pitching our businesses for money, pitching our businesses for customers and all of that. But we forget that we have to put out public relations about our business. And many founders just do not know where to start, nor are they media prepared. So
No.
one of the things I want to offer, accelerator programs is, hey, give me a couple of your folks who want to have this opportunity for their first interview. Folks, I interview people who have never been interviewed before or told their
Yes.
story
You
on a
do.
live big screen platform like this. And so
It's
I want to
exciting.
do more of that, and I want to get myself out in PR. So that's the space I'm holding. I want to up my live stream game. I follow this great
Yeah.
guy, Kurt Nugent, and bring and get some support. That's my goal. So thank
I'm
you.
seeing a visual for you of those little cartoon of it, like the rocket jet, and then I jet fuel, like, I see that for
Thanks,
you.
Mia. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Well, 22, everybody.
Woo!
Happy New Year. It is a great year.
It.
Lots of good things are coming. And,
Oh, we just
yes.
talked Deborah through on her road trip, by the way. She took us on
Oh,
her road trip.
let's
That's
see. Let me
awesome.
get back to comments.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I
Yay.
loved that she took us on her road trip. She's on a little journey, so that's fantastic.
Even better, Deborah. You're the best. We've learned so
Yes,
much from you all the time.
all the time.
Um, and so, I don't know where I was. Oh, the new year, folks. is so important. And Mia has brought this up a lot on how we need to be discerning, and B, we have to protect our joy.
Mm.
Give some final thoughts on that. I mean, you've given us some great tips along the way, but really we have to protect, because there's a lot of really tough things going on, and we cannot solve every single piece of social justice out there. Choose
Can't.
where you're going to show up, add wind, add support, add
Mhm.
money, and make that bookmark, that's your chunk of change right there, going to that. And
Yeah.
then find the other areas that you want to work on in your life, so that you are protecting your joy from the people who cannot stand to see you doing this, because they can't.
Sure. Honestly, the phrase "protect your peace" comes in so much, but I
Yeah.
love "protect your joy," because for me, that's actually where I operate the best from. And you've probably heard me tell this story before, but this was a mastermind that I was in a couple of years ago, and everybody had their big why and was coming up with it, and they had these super elaborate ones, and I was like, "Live large, have fun," and it went over like a turd in a punch bowl. Just let me tell you, because they were just a super serious mastermind, and it was this big group, and you can see they were all like, "Wow, wow, what?" Like, it sounded really selfish to them. but I know that living large and having fun is where I operate from that joy the most, and that emanates, and that people get excited. And when I get excited about your show or what Deborah's doing, they're like, oh, tell me more about that. So you see how that joy ignites.
That's right.
That.
And
So
I am
back.
behind you 100% in getting larger, because
Yes.
y-
That's a tough one
Mia,
right now. I feel like I had to shrink. Or didn't have to. I did shrink a little bit this year. A little shrinkage in the cold pool.
of course, that's okay. Does Mia come up with the best one-liners ever?
That was my George Costanza reference for Seinfeld. It was cold. I was in the pool.
I'm still stuck in the punch bowl. Went over like a turd in the punch bowl.
That's a Mel Vossism. I got to give my dad credit for that.
Oh my gosh! But we you just are so relatable to so many people, and the way you are share your impeccable word is so important.
Thank you. Wow.
Sometimes we have to contract in order to then expand even greater. It's just nature.
It's gonna make me cry.
But I believe, and I have for how many years now? 7 years now, just really believed in your voice. And I really want you to step up your game, and I want you to get a bigger platform. And
back at you. Let's finger guns each other.
Yeah.
Right?
And get more of that Mealicious out there, because you are representing so many of us who don't know necessarily how to say it, or with the ability to say it with just the right humor and snark combination, that we all go we might spit our coffee out, but thank God you said it.
Thanks, babe.
We need more of you, Mia, and that. So I am definitely going to be one of these people holding you to that, and also just in staying curious.
And staying curious. Man, do I love that. All right, love.
Well, we did it.
We did it.
Another
Are we giving something away?
Yeah. So
I'm so excited. And then we need to tweet this to Arlan, because
absolutely. So I'm going to go use this tool for the first time, everybody. We have 8 entries. Hold on. I got to do the screen share. Oh, geez. This is my virgin voyage, as Mia would say.
I'm here for it.
I'm popping the cherry on the giveaway. Let's see if this is the giveaway tool. Are we showing it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everybody, are you ready?
Oh, this is cool.
Right? This is like stupid easy to use, by the way.
Watch this.
And Deborah's the winner.
Big winner, big prizes. Girlfriend, this thing is so cool. Look how fun that is.
How cool is that?
Can you do it again so I can take a video of it?
Oh my gosh, I'll have to cut. I'll pull it out of
Filmora. Of course, this is recorded.
So we'll grab it again.
So exciting.
Oh my gosh. Yay.
That's my girl right there.
Deborah, I'll ping you. I'll get your address.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
And we'll get, and you are a winner too, Deborah, just in life, period.
Mm-hmm.
And you help us all be winners. But I will, that's so exciting. Yeah, I got to get let me just do a screenshot of that as well. This is so exciting. Da-da-da-da.
I got a screenshot with Arlan.
Excellent.
Holding up the book.
Thank you. Oh, you're the best.
This is OMG. You did manifest it. Oh my God, Deborah, you're going to love this book.
Oh, Deborah, seriously. Can I just share just a quick story about it? Decades of therapy and everything else, for crying out loud. This one chapter on lived experience that she talks about, this resilient, it helped me, because I have a really tough time in my life between 18 and 21. Yeah. And I have to tell you, her chapter on this, I think, and you have to look at your experiences and understand them for what they are, an education built just for you.
Oh,
to uniquely prepare you. And I'm just going to add this part, for your work in the world. Oh my gosh. Hey, No Fall. Thank you so much. I'm wishing you and your beautiful family a phenomenal holiday. And darn it
Yes.
all, we have got to get together as soon as it's safe to do so again. No Fall is saying happy holidays, goddesses. It's so great to hear you and your support for startups and founders and small business.
The hearts are the heart of it.
I'm telling
Oh
you,
my gosh,
folks.
that Arlan quote, I needed that tonight. Thanks.
Right?
Whew.
And so, I mean, because I had this very sketchy years, 6 years in Colorado of 18 to 24, that has been so hard for me to accept that happened. Right.
Yeah.
And boy, it was an education that uniquely prepared me for so many things.
I'm going to throw this out here. Maybe you could come out here sometime and we could walk a labyrinth and just like clear that energy of Colorado, change that energy from it. How cool would that be?
That would be great, folks. That would be so good. They were
Wouldn't
my
it?
Wonder Bread years for anybody where I grew in 12 different ways. I'd love that. I would absolutely love that. Go to all the different places that I lived
Yeah.
and clear. Oh my God, Mia.
We could
Road
have,
trip.
woo, like if y'all feel the earth trembling.
Okay, folks, any last thoughts, Mia, before we wrap up our holiday delicious celebration and solstice? You just brought so many goodies and gems for us tonight.
Thank
Seriously,
you.
your voice is so important.
Thank you. And you brought it out in me. We always have so much fun with this. Honestly, just slide right on into 2022. Don't try and do too much between now and next Saturday. Honestly, time is a construct. And, yes, 2022 has some great energy to it, but just give yourself a little grace as we go into this next year, because we have no idea. I mean, we thought 2 years ago, we're all like, woo, 2020, this is it. And now we know it's a little bit different. So I think giving ourselves a little bit of grace to not do too much. And you talked a lot about that tonight. So that's my advice.
Oh my gosh. And Deborah said, I just bought a book on Audible and so excited to get the physical book to highlight and take
I knew she
notes.
was going to do that. I
The
love that.
pages will be filled with sunshine. Yay.
Yes, she tag teams like I do. Especially with artists that I love,
Oh gosh, yeah.
I
And
do
I'm with
both.
you, Deborah, on the audibles.
Mhm.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
Change Your Mind is a great audible too. All right. Thank you, Mia. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to close out the show. You always make it so real and so important. And there were so many Stitch That on a Pillow moments. I can't begin to put them all up there.
Thank you. That was delightful. And well, let's same time next year, babe.
Yes, thank you so very much. And everybody, me and I are wishing you all a happy, happy, blessed holiday. Lighten up, chill out, grace, and be gentle with yourselves. Period. And happy, happy, happy New Year. And let's dance, shall we?
Yes.
Yes. See you all next year. Okay. Bye. Bye. Thank you, Mia.